counsel wanted to react to the issue of EFCC that we should thank the judiciary for the latest information, for the latest judgments.
Yes, and don't forget that we still have the Whistleblower Act, and that means that EFCC will step up only where there are complaints. And that then tells you that the fundamental principle behind whether EFCC will now has its eyes in the affairs of local government is a function of the characters that are managing the local government.
All right, we called out the sights and sounds of the Ogun local government election. Today, the 16th day in the month of November 2024. Of course, as you can see on screen, we've been to so many parts of the state, 20 local government areas in Ogun State. Ogtv has been there, and no station has done it better than Ogtv as far as this coverage is concerned. Welcome to the second part of the coverage of today's local government election in Ogun State. My name is Abeokuta, and I'm here with my colleague, Sina Tabaru. It's another team entirely. Tude Shodeke was here this morning with Moses Ojeomi, so it's Abeokuta and Sina now.
Exactly.
Sina, good morning. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, it's the local government election, and we have a little bit of understanding that election is wrapping up at the different polling units at the moment. And of course, when we get out as well, you see security agencies performing their duties, trying as much as possible to ensure we have a very secured Ogun State for voters to go out and vote. And that's the beautiful thing about democracy. Okay,
we have one of the very exciting public affairs commentators in Ogun State, and an election observer, so to say. He's been around for quite some time, and we decided to actually bring him in this afternoon. We wanted to allow him go to the field and see things for himself. And he has seen things for himself, and this afternoon he's with us in the studio. Ustaz Jubril Lawal with us this afternoon. Good afternoon, Ustaz.
I'm Biodun, good afternoon. And Simia too, good afternoon. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I can see your smiles.
Why are you not going to be smiling?
Yeah. I'm talking about what happened today. On my way here, I saw the police here and there, but there have been movement. and also in the morning, quite a number of things happened. Maybe in the course of the program, we'll start discussing some of those things that happened when I went out in the morning to do some monitoring and also to vote. Because I equally voted. So, but it's in the calm one. Here and there, people came out, not massively in the areas I've visited, not massively. And the fact that we started very slowly, a little snag, the materials not come on time in most of the stations I visited. In my polling unit, it came around 11 o'clock. No, 11 on the dot, the officials came in, and by 11:45, I voted in my area. And that was how it was in my community there and several other places that I phoned and I equally covered personally. Election didn't really start until around 10. The earliest was around 10:30 today in a lot of polling units. Aside the little snag of late starting, I think it went smoothly. People were coming in one after the other to vote. It was calm. Police were everywhere, just doing their job. Civil defense officers, Nigerian police officers, vigilante, corps. You see them here and there doing their jobs. It's a nice one.
I was actually going to ask you, with the calm atmosphere that we've seen so far, the turnout, not very impressive turnout, but then turnout that we could actually say we'll manage for the local government election. Will you say it's because it's local government election?
Even for the national elections, we didn't have quite a huge turnout. So one is not shocked that at this level of our elections, people are not coming. I'm also with the little snag that we had in the morning, like I earlier said, people didn't come out. And a lot of issues will be responsible. One, because of the status of the election, local government election, and I think that's a wrong one on the part of our citizens. This is a time for us to take local government election very seriously. Because the government of this is making us realize that we can't really get anything when it comes to development without taking care of local government. And they are doing that, ensuring that all the relevant laws are put in place. But maybe in the course of program, like I said, we'll get to that. I don't think that should be the reason why people should not come about. It might be a factor. Another factor is the complaint of people regarding the economy. Why are we coming out to vote? What is there to vote for? When they know what they want to do, does our vote count? At the places where I went to, I have to do a little bit of education to people that, look, stop saying vote does not count. Now vote counts. If vote does not count, people won't sell their vote. You sell what has value. If vote does not have value, they won't say people are selling their vote. So votes now count. And if you don't come out to vote because you say votes are not counting, how can you prove that vote does not count since you didn't come out to vote? I have to do some little bit of education here and there for people to really, for those that came out. And a lot of my friends, like my wife, I have to insist that you must go. You're going to vote. So we went out together. Yes, I said you must vote. I'm going to have to go to vote together. She was like, hey, what do we take out of this? What is in it for? I said, look, we are going out to vote. We can't keep on telling people that they should be aligned to their civic responsibilities. And they will now come out and say, in my house, my wife is not voting when she can vote. So we are going to vote. She said I could not trace my voter's card. I said, and OTSEC said, you can use the driver license. So let's go. And when she got there, they used that to identify her, looked at the register, looked at the card, and she voted. So I think a lot of factors are responsible. Not here, not there. The economic situation of the country, the local attitude towards what local government amount to, and etc. A lot of these things contributed to why people didn't come out.
Okay, for somebody like you that being at the forefront of this agitation that local government should be serving its purpose, grassroots mobilization is expected to be the one that will really drive us into the real change that we want to the country. And with all the agitation, what it gave birth to, which is one of the things that we're having now or doing now, elections, financial autonomy is going to go to the local government and all of that. And you're coming out to see what happened on the field, that the people that are actually supposed to be the drivers of this system are not really encouraged to come out. Are you not bothered at all?
Definitely, I was bothered, and I'm still bothered. And I have been talking to people that guess of this on the social media platforms I belong to, and my friends on phone, I've called them. saying, I'm at home, say, why not go out to vote? They will tell you, what is in it? Will it change anything? And like I said, I've told them, whether it will change or not, you can't know by staying back at home. And I made them realize that look, I've never voted for, when it comes to local government election, this is my first time of voting in the local government election, that is in Ogun State. As far as Ogun State is concerned, when I was in Lagos, I used to vote local government election, but in Ogun State I've not voted. And I've been here I've been back in the state now for almost 15 years, if not more, 2003 to date. So it's just that people don't really see like it's important. But I said, now we need to take it as something that's very important. The government said we want to give them financial autonomy. And we really want the local government to take to play a role, huge role in our development. Like I was in the program 3-4 days ago, Professor Abeokuta, we were talking about the electricity situation of Nigeria. And he said, how do we see if local government can generate 2 megawatts of power? 2 megawatts, which to me is not something extraordinary. 2 megawatts of power, times 774 local government we have in Nigeria. Now, do you know how many megawatts we'll be able to generate in Nigeria? And suddenly it opened my head to it that this man is speaking a fact. If local government can generate 2 megawatts of electricity, each local government, times 774, then why are we complaining we have shortfalls? And this will be done off-grid, not on the epileptic national grid that we have. And suddenly the huge potential power of local government, opened up further in me, that we can use this to really achieve a lot, in terms of our development. But people don't really realize it. Now, more funds will be going to local government. The man went further, Professor went further and said, he has always criticized Rural Electrification Agency, REA. Now, what business they have with, federal government taking over electrification in the rural area centrally, that it should be left to local government, and that it does not see any role. And every year, huge amount of money is voted to REA for rural electrification. So this money is channeled back into local government, like a lot of us now have started advocating. What happens to local government when people don't come out to vote? It means that we are going to get a different result. So these are the things that we should make people to come out and vote. And that's why I said, your question, I'm really bothered. And every good thinking, a good, well-intended Nigerian should be bothered that people are not paying the right attention to local government. I think you should tell me.
Yes, another critical part of it is the popularity of the candidate for the elections for the different political parties. And some would say that, in fact, I'm on different platforms, and this morning some of them are still saying that they do not really know who to vote for, and of course you ask yourself, are the political parties not campaigning enough to attract the attention of the different people in the different local government? And some have said that is also a reason why people decide to stay back in their homes, just not be part of the process, which is very bad.
People are just looking for flimsy excuses. I think it's a lazy one. How do I mean? Even when we had the national elections, both at the federal level and the state elections, it turned out we were still poor. I mean, the state governors campaigned, they did all the campaign you expect. What happened? Turned out it was really poor compared to even the federal elections we are talking about. So I doubt if it is because candidates are not popular. But that is not to say candidates are popular. No, I agree with them. Like I was meeting the councillor of one of the political parties just today at the election ground when he came, because he came and I said I don't know him. They now said, Ostan said he does not know you. He was not invited on food. He came and said, I am this, I am that. I said, look, I have never met you. And that's honest.
That's at the point of voting, when you have already decided.
Of course. That's what happened. And another thing I've noticed is, I think the cost of electioneering campaign in Nigeria is huge. We can't take that away. And that's why it's the ruling party that you seem to find to have what it takes to do the campaign. Yeah. A lot of people came out to want to contest for the elections, but they couldn't afford, the huge amount needed.
So how do the small to say opposition parties, how do they bring their candidates up? I mean, in Ogun State, in the run-up to this election, it was APC that did all the campaigns that we saw. I don't know, I didn't actually see a place where PDP, the main opposition party of the party, did any campaign. I didn't also see Labour Party. Labour was, was loud in the last presidential election and the governorship election, but Labour seems to have gone under the table now. So how do these small parties,
It will be unconnected with the fact that it's costing a lot, to campaign in Nigeria in our elections. Where I voted, the returning officer, I think I'm right, was calling out people. Where are the agents? They need to address the agents. And only the ruling party, APC agent, came out first. Later, somebody came out representing, PDP. And we had 2 polling units. APC filled the 2 available slots for the 2 units. But PDP had just 1 person. Then another person came out and said, I'm for Labour. All the other parties, ADP, ADC, whatever they are, they are not the way to be found. And I could understand. You will need to pay and mobilize polling agents, for them to do their job. So I think the huge cost of electioneering campaign in Nigeria is a big issue. It's a big issue, and it's affected a lot of them. What those smaller parties reduce themselves to were just to bring these brigade boys, this band thing, and just start walking around the street. And occasionally you will see them coming, and even at that, the ruling party had larger share of such than the other ones. I saw ADP once, I saw Labour in my area once, I saw posters for APC candidates all over the place. I saw just one poster for Labour Party candidate in my area, and I didn't see for any other, any other party apart from those ones. Then when you look at the economic situation of things too, in the past, posters used to be a common thing. Anywhere you go to, you see posters here and there. Now it seems that even posters, even for the big parties,
very expensive.
It's very expensive. And I didn't see, for instance, the poster of the councillor for APC in my community. I didn't see. I can't remember I saw one. That's how it is. Even if the big parties are struggling, you can imagine the newcomers, all those that feel you can want to have a voice in this, run to the lower parties.
But you don't think, sorry to cut in, you don't think the councillors also deliberately did not campaign? I think many of them, we saw many of them campaign, they campaigned under the campaign of their chairman, Here, GTV, we covered so many campaigns, in the name of so many chairmen. We didn't get any from any councillor. We saw the councillors, they hid themselves under the chairman. Does it also imply that the councillors couldn't just afford campaigning alone?
Okay. The word campaign is what we are using.
Yes.
Standard English, social norms, political norms. But what they do out there is not campaigning. It's doling out money.
Okay.
And I'm honest. I saw that happening today when I told you the councillor came. And people were running around him and they're asking for, I said, money, election day. One said, Ustaz, Emakasi. He knows he has to pay. He did not campaign. He didn't come to see us. We didn't get anything from during campaign period. We will get it from him today. So you can understand why a lot of them are hiding under the big banner. Because they know that when you do house-to-house campaign, people ask them for what is in it for them. More so if he happens to be a returning councillor. I mean, you were in the past regime.
Isn't that changing, Ustaz? We thought that that would begin to change from the almost revolution that we had when Labour Party shook Lagos and shook some parts of some parts of Nigeria. They also shook Ogun State a little bit. So we thought the issue of people coming to your doorsteps to actually to give you handouts for votes is beginning to disappear.
No, it hasn't changed.
It hasn't.
If my experience on the street, within the people is anything to go by, it has not changed. But what they do is they profile. They still give money, but they profile. They know those they are going to attend, giving money to. so they profile. And when he is not even given, people are asking questions. And when you tell them, why are you selling your conscience? They will tell you, if you don't collect the thing now, when they get there, what will they do for us? We will not see them again. So it has not changed. We are hoping and thinking and praying to that we should see a new Nigeria where people will feel that I'm not bothered about what you want to give me, I want to vote my conscience. But it has not changed.
Talking about voting one's conscience, you say if there is no seller, there might not be buyers. And of course, the people that get to, the demands from these politicians as well is always driven by the people themselves. Along the line, they say they have list of demands for them, and which is one of the things you mentioned today. He did not campaign. Most of them did not campaign door to door because they thought they might be spending, the monies twice. For instance, if you go door to door, you're going to spend, and of course at the polling unit, when they see you, they're also going to be making demands. What do we have to say to the electorate themselves now? If anything would have to change.
You see, the politicians are not helping us. In my community, I had an issue with some of the youth. In fact, when the announcement for this election came from the government, I went to meet some of them. I said, look, I know you in this community. When we have issue with light, you are the one that will come out and say, let's do it this way. When transformer is not working, you are the one that will say, they said we should buy feeder pillar or whatever and go around the street. When we had issue with our road, you are the one that will come out and say, this is it, you and your colleagues. Why not, if you cannot try chairmanship? I didn't try councillorship, so these are awards. The guy said, no, we withdrew. Now, when I got to the polling, booth today on the ground, a lot of them came out greeting me. Ustaz, how are you? After I said, why didn't you people volunteer to come out as councillor? They now said, it's going to be a lot of money. Where am I driving at? If people in the community, people that we know in the community comes out, because this is supposed to be grassroots, it should have been something that we know. Look, a person that I know might not need to campaign. Like for instance, I was not telling him that, look, you do this for us, you do that for us. If he comes out to say he wants to, contest as councillor for a party in that community, I don't see him not winning, because you all know him. He's one we see every now and then. And when there is problem, and suddenly there is no light for 2-3 days, he is the first person you call before you call IBDC. That, Mr. Man, what is happening to our light? So we all know him in the community. We know he's always there. When thieves come to the community, we call him. I'm not joking. Because they will tell you, I'm Ariama, and definitely they will see that thing. They will get the person. So there are boys in the community.
What about the community now? Because it's part of why democracy is important to everybody.
Okay.
So the community is able to see.
Okay, I think we have someone on the line. We're trying to get the identity of who is here actually, but this is actually one of our reporters. Where is this? We're trying to, we'll come back to that. Soon as probably we'll go back to your question.
I was trying to say that along the line, we've discovered the different stages and layers.
Okay, I think it's Matthew. Matthew, show me. Matthew is back. Matthew, how are you, Matthew? Hello, Matthew?
From different units across the local government. Some results have already been brought in while some are still being awaited from this end. As you can see here, people are coming in with their results. Different polling units are being collated here at the collation center.
So Matthew, where exactly are you? For people that are just joining the program.
I'm in Ramonot local government, the headquarters of Ramonot.
Now, so this clearly shows that voting has ended in that area, and that results of the election are the process for compilation and for announcement have actually begun.
Voting has already been concluded in almost all the polling units that I've been to around this axis. As a matter of fact, some results have been announced, but I don't want to preempt
definitely.
The electoral commission giving you the results.
You'll be committing electoral offense if you do that.
Has been declared.
Okay.
Because of the results that came out from the polling units.
Okay, Matthew. Generally, there have been reports of late arrivals of materials and all that. Now, if the election had been concluded in this area, in where you covered, it means that voting actually started early enough, isn't it?
Yes, voting started around some minutes after 10 here in Remo North government. From what I've been able to gather, immediately I arrived at the local government and I visited some of the polling units. They made us understand the fact that the voting actually commenced around 10 a.m. And even before the arrival of OGCF officials, voters were already on the ground to ensure immediately the officials of the OGCF arrived, they commenced the voting. So immediately the officials arrived, voting commenced, and people organized themselves in a peaceful manner, and they were able to conclude the voting early enough. That was why the results started coming in as early as possible.
So Matthew, can you tell us the atmosphere during the election? Can you tell us, there are reports of low turnout of voters in different parts of the state. Can you tell us your own area?
In the places on some of the polling units I visited, I can say the turnout is average. The turnout is average in some, while in some places there are at least to a reasonable extent people trooped out, and so we can say the turnout is a bit above average. But by and large, the turnout has been good. You know, people were enthusiastic about the fact that they wanted to partake in the exercise that will give them the leaders at different local governments, which happens to be the closest to them. So I can say the turnout is a bit above average. A bit above average.
Okay, then we can also safely say no violence.
Yes, there has never been any case of violence in all places I've visited. I've been to almost all the polling units around here. There were no reports of violence or any form of skirmishes. People conducted themselves in a peaceful manner, and they ensured the exercise went on peacefully. So there was no any case of violence in all the polling units I've visited, and even from the reports we are able to gather from the people on the field.
Okay, all right, Matthew, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Matthew, I've been covering Remo North, Ikenne, Iperu, Ilishon. It's a very vast area that he's been covering, and we will be expecting Matthew back home, back in Abeokuta, safely by the special grace of God later in the evening to give us the full report of how things actually went in those areas we visited. So Sinas, before we actually,
I was talking about the community, passporting somebody that is relevant for them. The fact that the person does not really have maybe what it takes, the financial muscle to do that. Are we not getting to a time or stage where communities will come together to sponsor candidates so that they can have full representation and, of course, a quality one at that?
Oh, thank you. This is going to take me to, make some suggestions of my discovery on the field today. I noticed that quite a number of those of us that were on the field today were relatively old people. Average age of 35. I saw two young ladies that would be in their, early 20s, 1920. And I had to go and meet them. I was attracted by their age. I said, why are you here?
Okay, Ustaz, we apologize. Let's quickly join one of our reporters on the field. Keji Shabaloju is covering Ota Township. Hello, Keji.
Yes, Biodun, thank you. Yes, we are here at in Ota, and this place that voting is actually ongoing. People are Ward 1, yes, I'm sorry. So the people is still here, exercising their franchise, considering the fact that the voting commenced in this act is very late. Everything started around at about, say, 1:30 or thereabout. I'm thinking the OGSEC is actually given more time for people to cast their ballot. So at this moment, voting is ongoing in very many polling units across this local government.
Okay, this is the 3:32. Are you saying, KG, that voting is still on now? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, voting is still on. Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, it means that it means OGSEC actually deliberately extended voting in this area.
Yes, that is just the situation. Because,
okay.
From the situation here, they commenced the voting very late. Everything started at about 1:30 or 2. So we can see that because of this fact, the extension is what we are experiencing here, because people are still being allowed to, still vote.
Okay, so who are the prominent people that I've actually seen who have come out to perform their franchise? The deputy governor, has she come out?
Yes, just recently we captured the deputy governor. She also, exercised her franchise, and at the moment, this is a polling unit, and one of them community we have just electorate. But of course, on the side of the deputy governor and other prominent personalities, we are still looking forward. Yes, recently we saw Jide Ojukwu, who is also, a politician in this local government. He has spoken to us, but at the moment, we're the polling unit where we can see, number of electorates still standing by. The party officials, party agents are also here, monitoring the situation.
So, Moreno KJ, what can you say about the turnout? Since you started around past 1 or thereabout, the turnout, how has it been?
Well, Stephen, I want to believe that people are aware of the importance of this election. This is an election that is very closer to people. This is the determinant of how the development would cut across. And this is also going to determine how the dividends of democracy is going to be spread across the people. So people are aware of all these facts. So they are coming out. I can say the turnout it is not low, but it's impressive. People are actually, they understand the importance of this election. So the turnout is encouraging.
All right, Moreno KG, we'd like to leave you now and allow you to continue to do the job. It means that we're going to expect you back in Abeokuta a bit late, right? Hello, Moreno KG.
I have a good celebration there and with the guests done.
Okay.
See you later if there's anything to report, I'll come back.
All right, we wish you a safe trip back to Abeokuta, and if you are still able to connect us, we'll be willing to take you. Thank you so much, Moreno KG.
All right, thank you.
Ustaz, you listen to that. Voting commenced around past 1 o'clock. It means people waited. They waited. They wanted to cast their vote, meaning that that explains the importance of this election today.
And we're going to assume that people waited, but my experience this morning is such that the polling agents were calling people to come out. When they came early in the morning and nobody was there to attend to them, the officials were not around, they went back home. So when voting now started, people were now calling. I remember somebody came and said, and they said it has not started, but I've voted. That's a different unit. So the same thing might have played out in Nota. Maybe people chose to go home,
yes.
And when eventually election starts, voting started, they now start inviting. The agents have a way of calling and going to call them out to come and start voting. I think that might have played out. However, if actually people waited, that would have been a good one for us. Kudos for the system. If people really, realizes the importance of having to vote, and they waited, given the condition that arose this morning, that would have been a good one. But my experience shows that people didn't wait. They went back home. then the agents were calling them. But to the issue that Simi raised earlier on regarding the community, the communal involvement, I think this is the way forward for us, to involve the community. Like I was saying, the next generation does not see, this civic duty as something that they need to hold, very dearly to. Like I was saying, those of us that voted, averagely, our ages were average 35. When you look at those that voted today, the same faces have been seen at election ground, the same faces. No young person is out, nobody, the 18, 19, came out to want to vote. And I'm thinking that this is the kind of election where they should have fully participated in. We see them all over the place coming out to vote. I didn't see that. So the community is not really deeply involved. And this is the way forward. All those that want to do research, all those that want to capture the state or capture power, should start looking at how to involve the people in elections. People really are not involved in elections. Community are not involved in elections. I saw your argument, which is, can the people come out and say, look, we want to present this set of people. We saw it happening during Obama. What Obama did was, using the people, the power of the people to come out to, and that's why he called it audacity of hope. Everybody, neighbor to neighbor.
He was a community mobilizer.
Yes, and it played out for him, everybody coming out, and they said, as at that time, it was the most expensive election in the US history. Well, how did they get this money? People contributing their cent, their dollar to ensure victory for that election. I am looking forward to such a thing happening in Nigeria, but it will require people that understand the system.
Okay, sorry, sir. We're doing this intermittently. We have Bumi Adigun in Obafemi Owode local government. Hello, Bumi. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Bumi.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
So,
still at Obafemi Owode.
Okay, tell us more about what is happening in Obafemi Owode.
I think we've lost Bumi Sadio. Okay.
Issues that happened earlier today, which in the morning, the delay in transferring of electoral materials and officials to their polling units and wards of Obafemi Owode local government. The election began around 11 a.m., which was to be 8 a.m., according to Ogtv. The information released. But immediately after 11 a.m., election started smoothly. And since people have been on the queue, even before the electoral materials and electoral officials got to the polling units, so it was so easy and it was a smooth process. The exercise went well and the people were ready to come out and vote for their candidate of their choice. And as I speak, we are now at the collation centers where results are coming in from polling units. And Obafemi Owode local government is one of the largest that we have in Ogun State. And as expected, results are coming in batches.
Okay. All right, Bumi. So the results are coming in batches. We can understand that. Obafemi Owode is quite huge. So Bumi, were you able to get to Mowe Bafo? Did you get there?
No, just because of the logistics issue and also because the materials got there late. All materials of Obafemi Owode, the collation centers from the local government secretariat around 10-11. So getting to Mowe of Fada was not that easy. But I got to Ajura side and I was at Ajebo where we have the chairman, the one of the candidates of the parties, where he exercised his franchise. But getting to Mowe or Fada Ibafu was not that easy. So
Okay,
we will not get to that.
Bumi Adigun, you said voting started a little bit late in that local government. Was there an extension? Sort of, just to allow people to come.
We spoke with the electoral officer in charge of Obafemi Owode local government, and we asked him that now that there is delay in the election process. What will happen? And he assured us that they were going to use their discretion to know what to do. And the way I'm seeing it, because the roads are still blocked, and as at the time we are now, we are minutes 43 minutes past 3, which is telling us that they have used their discretion, and at some point, at some polling units, election is still on.
All right, Bumi, let's leave you for now. We'll come back to you at the appropriate time, and we hope that you update us, give us more as far as how the exercise is going on in Obafemi Owode local government. Thank you so much for now, Bumi. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's quickly take this break and give you a bit of what we have actually brought back from the field. Of course, you must have seen pictures of how the exercise, have gone in different areas of the state. One common thing in this election is the fact that there's general late arrival of materials. But that's understandable. I think the process is what matters actually. The materials could come in late, but as long as the exercise starts, and it's run, the people have been voted. I think that's quite important. So let's quickly take the interview of a former speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Suraj Adekunbi. He spoke to us on the field this morning. We'll come back shortly.
Well, first of all, I want to appreciate you, Giselle, for putting up this. I want to appreciate the fact that everybody has a little bit of them performed their civic duties this time around. The situation has been very calm. The voting process has been very peaceful. People, got to the voting center. They had their accreditation, and seamlessly they voted for the candidate of their choice. It's been a very calm situation. The logistic handling is efficient, and I want to appreciate the fact that our people also they are cooperating with the presiding, the electoral officers around.
That was the former Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Suraj Adekunbi. Yes, Bumi went to Obafemi Owode. We actually spoke with Bumi last, but Keji actually, reported from Ogun West. So I was actually going to link that to the former speaker, who is also from Ogun West. Bumi has also corroborated the general report of late arrival of materials. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. A lot of things. I will come back to the issue of community because I'm so interested in how to make our people to become, to have this belief that they have to claim ownership of the system. It's important. If we don't get to have that reorientation, we won't have a different future as far as elections are concerned. Well, I think the course of the program will get to that.
Yes.
Regarding the lateness of materials at the election centers today,
yes,
it's not really new to Nigerians. Even at the federal level, we see it happening every now and then.
Yeah.
The federal election that I voted in equally went to observe. Quite a number of people did not start on time. The polling where I voted, would they start until around 9 or thereabout? It's like that. So it's not really peculiar to what is happening now in Ogun State. But one thing we need to start asking questions about, we need to start probing is, why is it that we need to start our elections very late? Like the one that happened this morning, one would have expected that because it's just state, we should have started maybe not later than 8 o'clock in a lot of stations. But in Abeokuta, for instance, when you have to start 11 o'clock, I mean, if election material is coming from Ake, for instance.
Yeah, the local government.
Local government. And
yes.
In Nigeria, they are starting elections 10, 11 in Kolobo, in Ibarra, and we are talking of moving materials from Ake local government, where election material for Abeokuta South will start coming from. One will like start asking questions, what went wrong? And I think the umpire need to sit down to look at this, even if not for today, so that other people that will come to work will be able to know what went wrong, what they need to do differently. But there is need for us to start, investigating, asking questions regarding why it has to be like that all over the state. If it's like in Abeokuta, we started 8 o'clock, one will understand that Abeokuta seems very close to the OSEC headquarters. Maybe places like Abigi, Ijebu Waterside, and they're studying 10, 11. One would still understand, okay.
Because of the distance.
Of the distance.
Yeah.
But where in Abeokuta, I said I voted, the election material came 11, and we didn't start voting until 11:40. I was the second person to vote at my unit. And I didn't vote until 11:45. If it's happening in Abeokuta, one needs to start asking questions. And I'm just saying this because there is need for us to look at what went well, what did not go well, so that we can be able to correct such in the future. OGSEC need to really come out, to tell citizens what went well.
I would also advocate that state electoral commissions should periodically look at, review the exercise they've done in the past and all that. Maybe that will guarantee better outing in the next election, because OGSEC obviously did the last election, I think some 3 years ago, how many years ago? And so now maybe there were some minuses in the last election they conducted, which they did not actually take care of in this election.
I monitored the OGSEC chairman in many of his media interactions, and the issue of late starting of election came out strongly in quite a number of the interviews that he attended at, across the media stations. And he said, I remember one of his answers was that they might not be able to control that, but they will see what they can do to ensure that it will not impact negatively the elections. And he said, because they have to work with them, transporters whom they don't have direct control over. I remember in one of the stations, he said, we'll have paid them, and definitely on the day of election, you won't see them. And I remember one of these, interviewers asked him that, and you have paid them and they won't come, will there be consequences? So some of these problems were what he alluded to.
Yes.
So to be what they expect will have happened, in the coming elections, and which actually happened today. But what I'm saying is that even if you don't see transporters coming up,
yes,
it shouldn't be in all situations.
Yeah.
He was talking, okay, for instance, you are going to Remo, you are going to Ijebode. When you get to interchange, the bus that is taking materials broke down. That is not a thing you have envisaged. That you need to move another bus to take over, to relieve that one of whatever the problem was. Yes, we agree with that. But this is a case where it happened all over the state. It's not a case of transporters not coming up on time. It's not a case of a vehicle breaking down.
They have not come out to tell us what has really happened.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but it shouldn't have been transporters not meeting up across the state. I mean, that one, we don't need to consult any oracle for that. But I'm thinking that, like you said, come out and tell us, document it so that in future, we'll be able to say, okay, this happened last election, we want to prevent it from happening again this election.
Well, we just hope OGSEC will do a review of this election, after the whole exercise. Okay, let's take another break and bring you another interview, because we want to, as much as possible, spice up your day. Those of you who have actually, voted, who are home now, I want to believe you're watching Ogtv. You can't be watching another TV station as far as this election is concerned. It has got to be Ogtv. And so let's take you to Ifo, Erekoro, where we got Honorable Ibrahim Isiaka to speak to us. So let's have this interview. We'll come back shortly.
Just for record purpose, you tell us your name.
Once again, I'm Right Honorable Dr. Ibrahim Abeokuta Isiaka. I speak for the entire Nigerians in the National Assembly, but I have a root. First, I'm from Wasiru Ward. I represent the Ifoiwekuru Federal Constituency, and proudly I am from the fastest growing economic state in Nigeria. I don't want to leave you guessing because probably may still be thinking where is that. Proudly I'm from the state.
How will you describe the conduct of local government election today?
Wonderful, excellent. I give them the most past mark you will give anyone in this kind of scenario. In fact, the organizers, I mean the Ogun State, they have defeated one fact that state cannot and should not be allowed to conduct local government elections. Today, the case is different from what we can see, indications and reports we are getting across everywhere. We can see that this has been a wonderful experience and everybody is happy, everybody is pleased, everybody is at home, everybody can see that the conduct of the people is because of the transparency nature of the election and the conduct of those that are superintending it as well. So it's been a wonderful experience.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Just for record purpose, you tell us.
All right, that was Honorable Ibrahim Isiaka in Ifo Ewekoro. That place it's been covered by Kolawole Osho. Yes, we were talking about, yeah, you wanted to say something before.
Yes, I was actually talking about, we were earlier talking about the opposition party and the role of opposition party actually play in a democracy, for instance. And when you look at, we're talking about campaigns, and largely you only have the ruling party, dominating the space of campaigns in this local government election. And I was worried, really, as somebody that tried to really understand what a democracy is and why it is important to have a vibrant opposition political party. As somebody that is also working so hard to ensure we have a decent democracy being practiced in our country, how worried are you too with the way things are going?
I'm worried. I'm not just the only one worried. In the civil society space, we've been worried. I remember that Olani Mashaun, you know him.
Yes, very well, yes.
He's a friend of the house too. We've met and we've discussed this severally at different fora, how we are going to make society to be aware of, their responsibilities towards, having a credible governance system. Because it takes the people to have that governance system. Now, what I think is happening is all of us are playing the pattern of the ruling party. We are playing the game they want us to play. And until we start playing a different game, we might not have a different result. And how do you do that? We need to start this grassroots campaign, not for election, not for, okay, the election is coming, but grassroots campaign, orientating people, giving them, the understanding that you need to be involved, making them see the power in their votes, and making them realize that they can start the change in their community, and that quite a number of people that are going to eventually represent them have their roots in the community. We need to get to that level.
Well, talking about getting to that level, you saw what happened during the 2023 elections. We talked about the different places where Labour Party became the winning party at a different part of the country, and how people alluded to a reality that there was a movement, the movement that this is going to happen, and people were taking different decisions away from what we have now, where people would easily say the ruling party is going to win. Even when they choose to stay in their homes, they expect the ruling party not to win. So along the line, are we saying that the people are not really involved, or the people that are involved are not really that popular to drive a movement to push for a better opposition political parties that we have?
Let me unravel the word people in your statement, and I want to be direct. I would rather use the word youth.
Youth,
if we are going to have a different future, the youth need to be involved. They need to start realizing the power. Labour Party was just about youth movement. You know, it's at the initial stage, some of us wanted to look at it from the point of view of its the regional party, ethnic thing, the Igbos are behind it. But at a point in time, when you go to the social media space, Twitter space, etc., you realize that it is not Igbo issue. It is youth generally saying, no, we don't want this again. I wish that could be sustained. Or I wish that has been sustained. And we have brought it now into this local government election. Because if there is any way or anywhere, the youth should have been able to have huge impact in what is unfolding, should have been at the local level. Where we see them coming out to say, no, we want to be relevant, we want our voice to count, we want to use this as an experiment to demonstrate that we are back and see what will happen going into the future. This is what is not happening. So I am thinking, and I've been saying it to all workers, that we need to start working more on the youth, to make them believe in Nigeria, to make them believe that they are the one that will be the catalyst for that change that we want to happen. Except that, for instance, I want to see younger people coming out for chairmanship positions. I want to see younger people coming up as councillors. When you look at the ages of those that are coming out, it is still the same old face.
You talk about the financial muscle of a young person.
Yes, but in the youth, okay, suddenly, let me give this example. I want to give kudos again to Ola and Masham, and because there was this amount of money that was leveraged by, what do you call it, OSEC, administrative fee, whatever they call it, that
yes,
they should pay. And it was at the forefront of those that were fighting against it. Eventually, it was removed. So if that could happen, and eventually OSEC is not charging anything, the law court said it is illegal for OSEC to charge the candidate. It therefore means that the only money the candidate has needed to spend will have been to mobilize it. Now, if they are able to mobilize themselves and say, look, we want to win this, then their efforts would have replaced money. I don't know how I'm communicating.
Yes.
Their efforts would have replaced money if they have mobilized, galvanized themselves into, we want to take this up. We want to win this election.
It's easy to say that the people are not involved, especially when you have a population going through a challenging time in the country, the economic situation of things, and how much of talk can you do as a young person to voters, the electorate, to get them to vote along your own.
The economic situation of Nigeria should have galvanized, fired them to want to change the situation. I am thinking, I don't think it should have been a reason for them to say, let's leave it.
I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
No, it's good that you are playing, but I'm thinking, and I agree with you, because people were like, with the way things are, just go and be doing it. What I'm after is how to eat. But I'm thinking the situation should have been able to galvanize them to want to fire them to say, look, we want to change what is happening and come out differently. Even if you want to vote for the candidate of the ruling party, I'm not against that. But make sure you make him realize that your vote counted. But if you don't come out to vote, and you're not doing he has not seen your power, he has not seen the passion, he has not seen any threat, anything from you that makes him believe that you were a threat or you were a force to reckon with, you don't expect him to look towards your side.
With all we've seen so far, and are you hopeful of a better administration of the local government, looking at what is playing out? The same issues keep repeating itself, and of course you have people saying the same thing and doing the same thing. Are you optimistic that the real change that is going to the local government that the president actually have been talking about is going to happen in his generation?
Because I'm on the media, I will say I'm optimistic. Yes. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. I don't want to kill or dampen people's spirit. I want to encourage them to believe that something good is going to come out of it. However, looking at all the statistics that we have on ground, I'm not thinking anything different will happen going forward. But I want to say I'm optimistic, hoping that something will just start happening somewhere. For instance, now, states have been asked to cancel or to eliminate JAC, the joint account system between local government and state government. National state governor came out and said It is no longer working with them. Every local government is going to have its own, account now. And I'm expecting that the same thing is going to replicate itself in all the states of the federation. I'm expecting that people will come out and start asking questions. For instance, now, I can tell you how much federal government is spending for agriculture all over the nation. I can tell you how much came to Ogun State. For instance, I know that there is a 450 million naira tractor project going on in Ogun State. It's an ongoing thing. About 2 tranches have been executed. I can tell you that. How? Because there is some that is open. There is an account, governmentspend.org or something like that. Govspend.org. There is an account like that. I'm expecting that is going to play out in local government. Now that they have their money coming to them, we can start asking questions. Look, the allocation that you got, I know that at the tip of my finger, I can get to know how much is the allocation that is coming to Abeokuta South. I can tell you how much is the allocation that is coming to Abeokuta North. If we have this information in media space and people have access to it, we can start asking questions on what are you doing with the money that is coming to you. I'm expecting now that going forward, local government will take over the running of parks, because under the Nigerian constitution, local government is to manage parks and not state. Under the Nigerian constitution, local government is to manage market and not the state. So I'm expecting that local government will become a bit more independent. They'll be able to generate some revenue for themselves. Management of parks and garages, management of market, primary health sector, section, education, primary schools, etc. I'm expecting that they have more role to play here, and we can start asking questions. Unlike in the past when state government dominates this area. So going forward, and that's why I said I want to be optimistic that we are going to get a different result, because it's going to give us opportunity to start asking questions. It's not a matter of this is what state governor or state government gave us, because we now know that that money is going to their account as far as they are concerned. We're not expecting them to give the money to state as far as they are concerned. So when we ask questions, we're not expecting them to say they've done certain projects with the state government. We're not expecting such narratives from them any longer. And that's where I'm putting my hope, is that the civil society organizations will be able to come out and do more job in probing them and asking questions regarding this, according to Nigerian constitution, are your roles. Why are you not doing them?
But we should have seen this in the way political parties in Ogun State actually took this election. I mean, coming from the local government autonomy, the Supreme Court ruling, and all of that. One was expecting that we're going to see at least 4 or 5 opposition parties in Ogun State come out very strongly against the ruling party in this election. But we're not really seeing this. Apart from, I think there's a candidate in Abeokuta South who is from ADC.
ADC or ADP?
ADP or ADC. I think it's ADP.
I like that.
I like that. I don't know if there's another candidate that's actually, actually shook APC in Abeokuta South and Abeokuta North in another place. I mean, are the parties sleeping?
They are not. Like I told you, the issue involved is money. A lot of money is involved in doing those things. And when you look at what Ayinla Egba has done, Ayinla Egba is leveraging on his popularity as a media person. That's what actually, like at the polling unit today, he didn't have a polling agent. You can understand what that means. No polling agent, because they need money to do something.
Yeah, we got to his polling unit, where he votes. We got there this morning.
Okay. I'm expecting that going forward, we'll be like next election, and we'll see more vibrancy.
Yes.
I know in Abeokuta North, there seems to be a lot of vibrancy. Abeokuta North, there was a huge campaign that happened in Abeokuta North. And Sandy Manjabo too did a lot of campaign, but that's because of his person. But like you have said, in Abeokuta South, Ayinla Egba made APC, he gave them a run for their money in terms of having to come out to campaign, because he was doing this door to door. He was doing labor to labor. And because of his popularity, there was this belief and thinking that he could shake the system. Well, I don't know. Let's leave that to results. But the matter is, honestly,
that will translate to
let's see what is going to happen. But
the good thing that came out,
I'm happy about that.
It's a good thing that came out,
and that's the kind of encouragement
that you were talking about. I agree with that. But looking at it generally, people are, when they talk of wanting to contest, the first thing they think of is, you have enough money to go and start giving now. Because in Nigerian system, when you go to a campaign, they are asking you, you are like them, what have you brought? Whoever is not filled up with money does not say he wants to contest or run an election in Nigeria. That's the thinking. But like I said, we'll keep on working on the psyche of the people for them to realize that they have a huge role to play.
Okay, so talking about working on the psyche of the people, you have some group of people within the society. They are well-to-do. They have what it takes to actually develop at different levels. If they contest for an election and become the chairman of a local government, they know how to run it, but then they still complain about the atmosphere, the kind of politicking we play in Nigeria, and they are afraid of the system and saying, oh, we can't, I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to be part. With all the experience and the financial muscle they have, they are not interested in the kind of politics that happens or that takes place in Nigeria. So how do we appeal to people like that, that have so much wisdom, so much, they even have money, they are not, they don't fall within the category of people that do not have what it takes to actually pull the stunt with the ruling party.
Integrity of the umpire at local government election is the issue that we are having. People believe that state elections, and you won't blame them. When you look at what has happened in other states, in Cross River, the ruling party won everything.
Yes.
In Abia, the Senate Labour Party won, yes. The governor, the OT is from Labour Party. But when you look at Zen Labour Party, you know that it is still the governor that is talking in Zen Labour Party. When you look at what happened in Oyo, PDP clinched everything. In Bauchi, the ruling governor, the ruling government took over everything. When you look at that, then people will now start telling you that whatever they do, the ruling party is still going to clinch all the positions.
It's not and actually, I think my question is not actually talking about the ruling party winning or the system. It's talking about the kind of perception people have. I was having a sit down with somebody that is over 60 years, and I was asking whether he has political ambition, and he said he cannot do that. He said everything he has made, that if he goes into politics, they are going to contaminate his money, and the people are going to be calling him all kinds of names, even when he did not steal a dime from the people, if it becomes anything. So along the line, you have people that are actually interested in fixing things, but because they believe the kind of politics we still play in Nigeria, where the people are always complaining about, there is a hasty generalization that all politicians are the same, sort of. And because of that, the good people are not willing or interested in belonging to those kind of name-calling with the kind of crop of politicians that we have.
I understand you. When I was talking about integrity of the umpire at the local government elections, I was alluding to the fact that even when they want to come out with their money, and they eventually realize that whatever they do, it still go the same way. It's like coming to waste your money. That's what I was trying to allude to. On the issue of people not want to come out to put their money into elections because of the fact of what people will say, what will happen to their businesses. The government is powerful in Africa. In Nigeria, government is powerful. One single policy, one single decision can kill your business one day. Yeah. So if you now want to stand up against the ruling party in a state where you are earning your income, you have your business, you can understand the kind of challenges you're going to face. This everybody is trying to hide this. Even when you are not your money is not through government. One way or the other, government policy will affect your business. I think I remember, and I hope you remember too, that was the time that we have bars and clubs all over Abeokuta, and at the end, the twilight of one administration, another one was taking over. When the new one took over, what happened to all those clubs and all those nightclubs? And one single policy killed them. And why? Because the owner of those enterprise were seem to be belonging to the party of the former governor, and that's why people really run away from wanting to associate with politics. Because once you do that, even the money you make genuinely becomes an issue. And I think I share the view of the person you spoke with. I'm equally going to be very careful in wanting to dabble into politics. Somebody called me and wanted me to represent a group, on the zone, and I private chatted the person. I hope this has nothing to do with politics. He said, not really, but we are having plans. I said, count me out. Because at the end of the day, somebody will get to have the information and I'll be tagged to be a member of that party. My freedom, my wanting to be a freelance commentator analyst will be tarnished. If you know what is happening, somebody puts you somewhere and say, we know Star is a member of this party. So these are the challenges that people are facing. That's why they want to run away from being involved in some of these activities. And that's why you see that only some people that are money bags or that make their money through government wants to be kept on being involved in the way things are done, in day in and day out. But I am believing that when people suddenly realize the power they have, and they want to say, look, we want to have a change and make sure that we have impacted change in the system, some of these things will start changing.
Well, one of the things we have also seen in this election, this local government election in Ogun State, is the fact that the ruling party has not taken things for granted at all. The ruling party went out to campaign, community leaders have also gone out, and so we've seen them a lot on the field. This morning, we just brought you the interview of former Speaker Suraj Adekunbi. We also gave you the interview of Honorable Ibrahim Isiaka. We still have the interview of Senator Solomon Adeola Olamileko, popularly called Yayi. We have that of Isiak Shalako, Wasiu Isiaka, and many more. But for now, let's take this one by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the State Governor, Dr. Toyi Taiwo. He was also on the field to cast his vote and also to mobilize supporters for his party, or to mobilize votes for his party. So let's take the interview. We'll come back shortly.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Now we have seen the process of this election. How will you adjudge it? And after the collation, counting and all that, what will be your word of advice for whoever will win this election?
Well, you can see for yourself that the election is peaceful and people across come out en masse to really vote. And I think the reason why people have come out to vote is because the electorate have been able to see the dividends of democracy. And His Excellency, Dr. Abeokuta, CON, have been able to do, particularly in Ogun State, transforming Ogun State in many facets. And that is why you can also see that most of the voters, the accredited voters, in most of their polling units, all came out en masse to vote for the candidate of their choice. And I'm very sure that APC is going to really win this election, because if we see, and we all know, that His Excellency has done excellently well, you understand, and we are very sure of victory, no matter what. And also our candidate, the credible candidate, the candidate, that is widely accepted. They have the integrity, they have what it takes, you understand, to translate the policy of His Excellency, you understand, and bring it to the grassroots. And make sure that the people see the dividends of the policy. So I'm very sure, 100% sure that it's going to be APC all the way. It's a fair game, that's why it's some PPP and some Labour, you understand, but of course, at the long run, all over the state, you're going to see that it's going to be APC all around. It's going to be 20 over 20 to 36 over to 36. I'm very, very sure of it. 100% sure.
All right, we wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was Deputy Chief of Staff to the State Governor, Dr. Toyi Taiwo. Of course, monitoring the election, and of course, he also went out to cast his vote is from Abeokuta local government area of the state. Okay, let's quickly also take another interview. This one from the, we'll get that across to you shortly. But for now, let's do more talking. We were talking about the approaches of opposition party to local government election. And the question I actually posed was, why did you have this lethargic approach by opposition parties in the state? You spoke about money, but are we deploying money rightly in our democracy? Compared to the way money is, because they also deploy money in democracy of big countries, bigger nations like in Europe, especially Britain, US, Germany, Spain, and the rest of them.
We're not. I'll need to be quick with that answer. I remember Trump, mocked the Democratic Party, that they were owing $20 million as, campaign fund that they've not been able to utilize. When you look at what that money was meant for, it was not meant for voters. It was for vendors, people that did their t-shirts, face caps, etc., mobilizers and marketing organizations. But in this part of the world, the money is actually meant to be given to voters, and that's the challenge. In the days when you just need to go out and print posters, days you need to go out and just print t-shirts and things like that, we saw more people coming out to want to contest in local government elections than now. I try to look back into the past, my days in Lagos. Whenever we are having local government election, you will see that even somebody in your community just want to contest and print posters all over. It might not eventually win, but you will see that they will come out and do that. Because it was just a period when you need to just print election posters and say you are for this party or that party. But that's not the case now. The case is that people are actually demanding for money from politicians. And I think Simi had asked a question the other time, that willing buyers and willing sellers was the issue of this vote buying. Even when politicians want to come and vote, they will tell you, we know how it is going on. Because in Africa, in Nigeria in particular, we see when you contest for election, you have won a jackpot, a kind of. It's become suddenly we want you to live large. That is the word. If you're a councillor, we don't expect your child to be attending, government school, public school. So I'm a councillor, what is doing here? Kind of. That's the thinking. Now, imagine if you're in the House of Rep member, if you are, a senator, what will accept from you? They suddenly want you to live large, and they believe that you have gone there to make money. That is the word. You have gone there to make money, and because you've gone there to make money, you should be able to give them part of the money they are going to make. So that's the story. And when they go into election, I had the opportunity of speaking with a politician about 3 election cycles ago, and he said he has spent a lot of money. We went for the Senate. He spent a lot of money for this election, and that even now that he's been taken to the court, his victory was in challenge. That's not going to cost him a lot of money. So it costs a lot of money, to get involved in some of this. And that's the challenge, and that's why it's not easy for opposition to come out. When you even look at it, those that want to be in the opposition party, all those that are involved, because politicking in Nigeria is like a profession. We have professional politicians that is their job. That is what they do for a living. They know themselves. You see them that all of them are always running towards the ruling party. Because why? That is where the carrots are going to flow from. And that's what's even killing opposition. Look at PDP, for instance, now. They're having a lot of challenges in the state because the money is not flowing. They don't have, they're not in power in a way that they are going to get money from, from anybody.
Although it might really sound like a digression from the real issue, should we also be talking about shortening the carrot then, or probably having no carrot at all? Because like you said, everybody's waiting for the carrot, whether it's big or middle size or small size carrot. There's a carrot waiting for somebody who is going to public office. You know, and if you now mismanage the carrot, there is no sanction for it, because I think that's also quite important. Public accountability. You know, maybe that's why people are so do things blatantly when they get to government.
I agree with you that accountability is an issue in Nigeria, with us in Nigeria. It's not like that in another part of the world. But loyalty is a big issue all over the world. We also what Trump just recently. With the people, class of people is appointing into key positions. You understand? So loyalty is all over. When people work for you, you are expected to have a way to compensate them. Democrats lost Georgia in this election. They won Georgia with Biden, but before they won Georgia with Biden, almost 20 years ago, they've not won Georgia. What happened? Somebody suddenly came out and started campaigning for Biden and said, we're going to give you Georgia. They won Georgia actually, but the person went bankrupt. And Biden did not look towards the woman's side. So what happened? Eventually they lost Georgia in this election. So loyalty is all over the world. It's not just in Nigeria. When somebody works for you, you want to pay them back. Yeah. Trump is doing that now. So I'm not expecting that whoever works for politicians should not be compensated. I'm only saying that if we are going to do that compensation, it should not be at the expense of the people. But that's what is happening now. Look. In Lagos, you saw what happened with Ambode. Ambode was not really a problem to politicians, I mean to Lagosians. Given the opportunity, Lagosians want to vote Ambode. They believe he did a good job. He did what they wanted him to do. But politicians didn't want Ambode. And they went to the powers and said, we don't want Ambode again. And what happened? Ambode was removed. That is the power of politicians in Nigerian politics. And that's what equally is playing out in our system here. I was discussing, so I said, there are people in Ogun State who understand the terrain of politics. And whatever happens, come rain, come sun, they will always, come rain, come whatever, they are always there and they will determine who comes in, who wins the election. There are people that mobilizes in the grassroots. And you and I are not the one that will go and start, working at the polling units and wanting to fight and polling units. They have those that will do the job for them. And these are the first-class politicians. They are professional politicians that are doing the job. And that is what the problem is. That's why...
Is it not tragic that you also have the elites, educated elites, in this class of those who also would like to offer their votes for money?
I don't know, but my experience in the last election did not show that elites are in that class.
But I think it's also about what the politician is willing to offer. A politician is willing to offer you 50,000 naira, for instance, for if he's able to actually offer you that, to give him his vote, and you are a school teacher, you are an elite, and your salary has not been paid, and you have the bills to pick and all that. Isn't that tempting?
It's tempting. And we understand such a thing happened in Edo State. Yeah. That a vote in Edo was going for as high as 30, 40, 50,000 in Edo. We understand it was. But I agree with you. When it comes to poverty, anybody can be a victim. Anybody can be a victim.
Especially when you no longer have the middle class.
Well, yes.
In the kind of structure.
And that's why I'm saying that we need to start working on the psyche of the people. For them to realize that they can stop this from happening. That when they collect some of this money, and after election, nothing happens. No water, no light, the roads are not fixed, education is in bad shape. Did you know that public education should have been the best? Because we went through it. I went through public education.
Yes.
And presently, I'm beginning to realize that even now, it is about the best. Because only government have what it takes to employ quality teachers. I mean, unlike private schools, where they just employ anyhow. I know that minimum qualification before you can be a secondary school teacher in Ogun State is you must have a degree in education. And if you have NCE, you can only teach in primary school. A lot of NCE holders are teaching in private schools, in secondary schools, even SS3 students in secondary schools, in private schools. So what I'm saying in essence is we are having the best. But because people don't pay attention to wanting to ensure that some of these things work for us, we just take it for granted. I tell people, you don't need to spend that amount of money you are spending on private schools. If only you pay attention to, to election and ensure we have credible quality candidates coming out to give us the best. I mean, we'll have gotten the best than you having to collect 20,000, 50,000 at election, then coming to pay to your nose to send your child to school. So these are the things we need to start educating people on for them to understand the power they have in bringing quality governance into the system.
Okay, let's take another break, and this time around we'll be calling on the Senator Olamilekan Adeola, Solomon Adeola from Yewa Axis in the state. He also was on the field after casting his vote. We caught up with him and he spoke to us. So let's take the interview.
Yeah. Yes, the city senator, you've just casted your vote today. How will you describe the turnout so far and the process?
Well, as you can see, first and foremost, it's a very peaceful process from what we have been able to gather from everywhere across the length and breadth of senatorial district and the extension across the state. And as for the turnout, I can say from where I've voted here, I'm impressed with the level of the turnout. It is expected that the process has just commenced. In the next couple of minutes, hours, I believe that everybody will be fully aware that yes, the voting process has commenced and they're going to come out and cast their vote for the candidate of their choice. And I must commend particularly the UBSEC for putting together a very, very successful process that is made easy. You are there, identified. You have been identified by the OGSEC officials, and from there you are giving your ballot paper to cast your vote, which are just exercised by franchise. It's expected that at the end of the day, our party will come out victorious.
Yes, sir. If you look at what OGSEC did this time around, you are allowed to use your either driver's license or NIN. Will you recommend that for national and state elections?
I want to strongly believe that if that will mitigate against this idea of disenfranchising people from casting their vote for one reason or the other, I believe that's not a bad idea. But the only thing is that there should be a lot of processes into this that will make it more legal and that can show to the whole world that the level of transparency as far as that process is concerned will convince Nigerians that going forward into the future, aside the INEC card, we can also use other legal means of identification like your international passport or the NIN card. But as I said, what is recognized by law as we speak today is the INEC card. So if you are going to amend the electoral act to accommodate all of this, that has not yet been done. So for now, we stand for our OGSEC to now introduce this. As I said, is a way not to disenfranchise the people from for exercising their fundamental human right. It's a right step in the right direction to an extent, but for me, from the point of view as a lawmaker, I know that the right thing has to be done for that process to be recognized by law.
All right, that was Senator Solomon Adeola, popularly called Yayi, representing Ogun West in the National Assembly. He was also on the field this morning to talk to his people and of course to talk to the state about the election. So let's quickly switch to Ota local government, where the deputy governor of the state, Engineer Noemot Alakoredele, also spoke to our reporter, Morenikeji Shobaloju.
say what was free, this is the word where it's governors work. Well, you can hear me, the deputy governor is here live, expressing her life. She's casting a ballot as we speak, so if you can hear me clearly.
The local government is a very important tier of government. It's the government that is closest to the grassroots, and every 3 years here in the state we come out and exercise our right to choose the chairman of the local government of our choice, and the councillors who work with the local government to deliver good governance at the grassroots. We just had a term elapsed earlier this year, and we're looking forward to another term of good governance. We're looking forward to the people of Abeokuta local government, and indeed of the state, giving all APC candidates a sounding picture at the polls, so that the work that His Excellency is doing at state level is complemented at the local government level, and we can do our local governments with one class that they deserve. This would then be the first local government elections that we have after the issue of autonomy. So it means that a lot of people are more interested in what is happening today, and can see that in the interest of the candidates who have put themselves forward across all the parties, and the turnout. I've come here, people have been coming and going to exercise their right to vote. So I want to call on everybody else who hasn't come out to vote to do so, and let us speak, so our voices will be heard, and people get the right to the leadership that we desire. I'm very certain that the APC will be given an overwhelming vote of approval, and our candidates will win right across, because we have been doing very well, and we know that once again our people will look forward to working with APC leadership in our communities to give them good governance. Thank you very much.
Okay, the Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Engineer Naimot Salako Yedele, in Abeokuta, exercising our franchise and, of course, granting Ogtv interview. Okay, let me quickly take you back to one of the responses of Senator Olamilekan Adeola, Solomon Adeola, on, one of the questions journalists actually asked him in the interview that preceded this one. The use of name and all ID cards and all of that that have been deployed in the election, Ogun election. Is it not also a possibility if this is also adopted by INEC in further elections in Nigeria?
Honestly, that thought crossed my mind this morning when we got to the polling unit. The when we were about leaving home, my wife said she couldn't find a PVC. And I remember I heard the OXEC chairman saying any of those education medium can be used.
Yeah.
And I said, just pick anyone. So she picked her driver's license. So when we got to the polling unit, the polling officials, pasted the, voters list for the place, and everybody went there to go and check. And I checked mine. I have a phone number, 419. I was number 419 on that list. It was 419. It was 419. And I'm 90. Thank you. When I asked her to go and check hers too, and she did. So when I got to the officer that was about to accredit me, and I'm like, I said I'm number 419, and she opened, yes. She opened, saw my picture, and I'm like, well, for God's sake, we could have equally used NIN for this. Because recently I wanted to register, to start a bank, open an account with a bank. And now when I was thinking I would fill form, they said no, I don't need that. I should either give them my NIN or my BVN. And when I did, the system just brought out every information about me. My picture, everything, my house address, everything about me. And I was like, can't this also be deployed for in elections?
As a one-stop information platform.
Exactly. Than all the repeated cost, invested into election. Next election, INEC is going to come out with huge amount of budget again, saying that we need this amount of money for some of these things that already existed somewhere. So I was just like, okay, those that are not yet 18, do they really need to say they want to capture them again? They'll say capturing. Do they need to say they capture them again?
No, I think part of why there is always double checking is because of the rigging experiences of INEC along the line. You recall what happened in 2015, the role of the card readers. Why they keep putting, even when they allow everybody to come, you check your name, you use your NIN. The card, that's the card reader, would have to cross-check, authenticate the identity of the person with your, you have to thumbprint so that they will know that you are actually the one carrying the card. Those are part of ways INEC has come up to say that.
Yes, I agree with you, but we've gone past the card reader. Yes, I was an observer when we used the card reader. We had the issue, the machine and the card were not really synchronizing. We had the issue that year, and eventually they have to abandon that card reading thing and started using manual voting. Okay. I remember I was even at the Diroko for my observation, election observation then. What I'm saying is we're now using, you thumbprint. When you get to the machine, they call it BVAS. Yes, it's a biometric thing. You put in your thumb and it brings out your information. What I'm now saying is that it therefore means that the card is not necessary again. I'm just thinking aloud. That card is no longer necessary. The only thing I used the card for today was to know my polling unit. I got there, it showed me it was 14 and my unit was 006. And this equally you can do by just going online. Some of the information will come to you. What I'm trying to say is that we could have new voters that are just coming up. Those are turning 18. You just need to put in your NIN and to migrate all your data, to the database of what do you call it, INEC. And when you get to election center, all you need to do is just to put in your thumb and it brings out the information. I'm thinking we are getting there, and I'm seeing credibility coming into our elections. Now, I'm equally about to suggest that do we still need to keep people at home and say no movement? No movement was because we were stealing ballot boxes. That was what led to lock them at home. No vehicle on the road. Nobody should move because they were stealing ballot boxes. People don't longer steal ballot boxes. You don't need to steal it. I don't know how I'm communicating. You don't need to steal ballot boxes. And our votes are now counting. So some of these need to start reviewing them vis-a-vis technology. So I'm thinking, I want to align with Senator Yayi that we can now make use of those technologies that are coming in. The NIN, we use it. Like if you want to go for JAM, for instance, now you want to start for JAM. Apart from having to pay, for that pin, you don't need to do that thing again. Because all you need to put is your NIN and to migrate all your data onto the database of, how do you call it, JAM. The same thing is happening with WAEC. Just put your name, every information of yours is migrated onto their database. And the moment you come up with something that is false, it tells them, no, this is not you. I don't know how I'm communicating. Yes. Some INEC should be doing that, and it might save us a lot of cost in terms of, because what normally makes INEC to charge so much or to come up with so much money is wanting to give, the integrity of election, wanting to protect and ensure that election votes are not stolen. That the vote that is casted is what is eventually producing the result. The result we are having is as a result from, or is an offshoot of the election that has taken place. And I'm thinking, with the way we are progressing, some of these things can help us to take care of them.
Ustaz, I think President Bola Tinubu might need you as a special advisor on election, on INEC, because I think your analysis have been really spot on this. I've not also thought about this, but I think and in terms of evolution too, maybe we'll get there in some years to come. That you don't have to actually force people to stay back at home while you're having your election. Maybe you get to a stage where we are going to even consummate electronic voting and all of that, so you could vote even from home. And your votes count. Okay, we know we've been doing from studio to the field and all that, so we want to continue by taking you back to the field and by also showing you the interview we had with Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Salako. He also spoke to Ogtv on the field today. So let's take his interview. We'll be back shortly.
How will you judge the voting process happening here today, sir?
Well, I think that the turnout has been very, very good. I'm sure you can also see. And then the process of the voting itself, the exercise itself has been very peaceful. There has been brotherly. You can see the way I was throwing bankers with the agents of the opposition party. And the report I've also received from several of our polling units, particularly in the local government, also shows that the turnout has been very good and the conduct has been very peaceful. I think kudos to the Ogun State Independent Electoral Commission for this very good event that they have put together.
Shocking me,
inú wa dùn pé àwọn èèyàn jáde láti dìbò ká máa dìbò ó ti di ìbára ó ti di ara àwọn èèyàn wa ó di kọ́ńtọ̀ àwọn èèyàn wa àtàwọn èèyàn jáde kò dẹ̀ síjà kò ń ṣe níbí nìkan ní gbogbo ibi tá a ti gbọ́ report nílé wa náà láti rí pé àwọn èèyàn jáde dáadáa kò dẹ̀ síjà conduct ara wọn wọ́n dìbò ní láìsí wàhálà àtọ̀tún àtòsí lórí àwọn ìjẹ̀bí ọmọ ọ̀yà níwájú àjẹ́ pé ayin àwọn ẹgbẹ́ tó ń ṣe tòkárí ẹgbẹ́ oníṣẹ́ ní ìṣẹ́.
All right, that was Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Salako. He also spoke to us on the field. I mean, that perhaps also implies the seriousness of this election. Exactly. for APC, when you see a minister, federal minister coming to town, this morning too, although we didn't get him on camera, the Director General of the National Sports Commission, Chief Bukola Olapade, was also spotted somewhere in Abeokuta South, voting and of course encouraging supporters of the party to come out and all of that, but we couldn't get him. But certainly we'll be here on Monday morning to talk about his new office and all that. But the minister, what do you want to say about that?
Well, honestly, I too noticed that the big weights came back for the election. And it shows the importance they have attached to the local government election. And I think APC is sending a signal to all those that care to listen regarding 2027. That's what we're discussing, but there is no room to discuss that as well. There are quite a number of their appointees, whether at the federal level, even at other levels, are really involved in political and electioneering, whatever they find themselves. Yeah. For when I saw Yayi, I've seen him somewhere on the social media. I was like, it was not in Nondo. Then somebody told me that, what will be in Nondo? You should be back now. This one, these people that are going to be there will be there when the race for 2027 starts, and they will need them to, use them at the level. We also saw how Wike used local government chairman. When he was doing it, people were like, what does it mean? When he said they have a PA, he appointed Was he personal assistant called them then?
Yes.
How many of them? About 1,000 and
around that. Huge number.
But he knew what he was doing. It was the way of saying, go and campaign, go to the field. So I'm thinking this is what these big wigs are equally saying.
And that's what is called structure, isn't it?
That's what it's called structure. You're right. I'm expecting the Minister for Trade and Investment too, whom I understand is calling from Ogun State, where Dr. Jumoke.
Okay.
Yes.
The new one.
Yes, the new one.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's that structured or
Okay, we've talked about the younger generation and, of course, the need for them to be part of the structure and, of course, the process. We look at role model in our political space. How much of that do we need? How much of those at the top are willing to take those coming on board to be part of the process themselves? So with your observation so far, are you seeing much of engagement between these two group of people?
Not really. The youth have these apathy that I don't seem to like. They are not thinking Nigeria, and that's the challenge I have with them. They are not thinking Nigeria. They need to sit down and think Nigeria. We need to bring about a synergy between them and those that are controlling political machineries of the state and across Nigeria. I have not seen that happening. Even when it's going to happen, you see them bringing their children and not generally talking to the youth to come and take over some of this. And I'm saying it. I'm expecting a surprise coming 2027 for anybody who is able to, sit down and bridge this gap. Mobilizing the youth into realizing that they have a role to play and playing that role well. And I'm not expecting that we wait till 2027. I was expecting, a lot of the parties to use this, local government election to test run, these opportunities.
But there's always a saying that you don't give what you don't have. And something would have been the reason why we are where we are. And definitely you cannot take away the fact that the people moving above the younger generation have roles to play in handing over some of the things they were doing. So where exactly do you think the gap was to the point that we have to see this kind of result? Because some people would say that it's because of the neglect of those that have been ruling, or those that have been in your own, maybe I should say your generation precisely. You've not been carrying us along, sort of. Is that the reason? Or if you have been doing something about it, really we won't be where we are today. Just talking or probably trying to be blaming the younger generation for what they might not actually have access to along the line.
That is the mistake the youth are making. Thinking that somebody is going to hand over the baton to them. No, it won't work like that. The way things are, they will need to come out and fight for it. When I say fight for it, show their presence. You see, if they are present, for instance now, how many of them are card-carrying members of political parties?
The kind of things that happened when you were just like our age, the kind of political involvement that our grandfathers were pushing, deliberately pushing. They would ensure that they take you to the polling unit for voting at every election. But now you see even parents saying, they keep their children somewhere because they say the security is not safe out there. My children need to be safe, let them stay here. So those are part of things that people would use to negate the point that you just have to come and take it. Were you also coming forward, or somebody was there to actually say, let's go from when you were a child, when you were very young, and then your father is going to vote, ensure that that child goes along with him, and of course he sees what is going on, and that became in the subconsciousness of that child.
In our days, patriotism was the issue. We were patriotic. The leaders then were patriotic. We're not looking at political office as a means of acquiring wealth. In our days, I grew up to meet a Jakonde in 1979. In 1979, I was just in secondary school. You understand? I was age 13. 1979, yes. I was just age 13. And we grew up to see a Jakonde, that was living among us, even after becoming governor. I was still in Yupeju. He still was living in Dikweju. He was still staying in his house. He was still going about in his crown, Toyota crown. But when it's Eid, he will come to the Eid to pray with us.
As governor?
As governor. And then when you are going to the Eid, you don't see battalion of police guiding his house. You are free to walk in. In fact, when there is no water at the Eid ground, which was close to his house, we will go to his house to fetch water, and he will come out, you know, pray with us.
There was no air around him?
No, nothing. It was just the Jakonde we used to know, and just that Jakonde. So all of us are aspiring to, like, this is how it should be. We're excited, and there was that excitement in all of us. So when there is election, you can understand, when I was old enough to vote, I was able to go and vote. And, you know, that was what happened, because we saw, you know, being voted into office as a service. Unlike now that it is being seen like money making. You know, we have what people that have been called political parvenus, people that suddenly became rich because they are holding one office or the other. In those days, you don't become rich because you are holding a political office. You are just one of us. The chairman of the local government is somebody that can just walk in to go and meet. We know him, we live in the community. We don't need, police does not go around. We know our councillors in the community. We know them. Those of them that are Christian will go to the church in the community. Those that are Muslim, we pray with them in the mosque. We discuss. We tell them the problem we have in the community. In those days, unlike now that they are now one thing God that you can't even meet. The person representing my community in Lagos, in the state assembly, we walk into his place. We know him. He comes to the field to play football. I don't know you are communicating. Yes. So we didn't see them like somebody special. So when there is election, because we see them like part of us, all the youth really want to be there, and we equally aspire to become something. Like a lot of my colleagues in Lagos, my age mate in Lagos, became something in Lagos. You know, because they were easily part of the system, political system. We knew each other. You know, unlike now that some people are just there. They are the Baba Saleh. They are the political big wigs, and they don't want to leave. And when they said give us somebody, they know how they go about to bring about because they want to bring. So that's why I said youth should not wait. Okay. We have people that want to finish everything now. They don't want to eat and have leftovers.
Okay.
They want to take everything. So youth to need to come out. Either they join the big parties, or come and join the other small parties. You know, mobilize themselves into those parties and start a movement. And
some people will also argue and say the youths that have been given the opportunity, how are they fed? Let's go to Kogi State. Kogi State, I mean, isn't it by all standards that the governor of is at large now, isn't he? What's the latest about him? Yahaya Bello. He became governor at 40 what? Was it under 40? Is that not a youth? Stars?
Yes. Just like our Bankoleti was a youth.
Okay. Yes. Beautiful. Okay.
So did they represent that echelon, that group of youth? Were they the candidate of the youth? One big politician brought them in and said because they said youth and they brought them in. I don't know whether you are getting it. Okay. They did not evolve.
Okay, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
One big politician brought them up.
Exactly. I agree.
Yes, that's a challenge. What I'm not saying is, can they build a grassroots?
Okay.
Can the youth come and say, look, this is the structure. This is how you get there. Can they start getting involved one way or the other? So when they keep on running back and wanting to japa, I mean, that's a challenge. Can they want to sit down and say, we just need to wrestle this government?
You also have, you know, people will give examples of those that we refer to as being very old today, as people that actually came into the political system very young.
Yes.
And they refuse to leave. That's what we keep saying. But notwithstanding, it is not to say that the youth have not been part of it. Some have said that, like what you said, that you should come and take over. We've seen examples of people that have led political movement. Along the line, they also get the power, and they have not been able to change the status quo. They just become one of the statistics.
One person.
Okay, for instance, when we talk about this particular name keeps coming. Let's look at the 1999 sets of politicians in Nigeria, for instance, and look at where they are right now. They keep saying that they have been the ones at the ends of affairs. You look at what the former governor of Ekiti State, Fayemi, and the kind of things they did to ensure we have a stable democracy in Nigeria, and it's good like that. And you have them, in power, and they couldn't actually change anything. Even the current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has been fighting for this democracy. And what we have now, you see people complaining about, oh, they have not changed the status quo. Whether that would change if he completes his tenure, we do not know. But these are things you also have along the line when we discuss the seizure.
Yeah, we can't separate what is happening now from the mindset of the people, and we've kept on saying that. The challenges that we have in Nigeria today is not just because politicians are there and they want to manipulate the system. It's because the people allow them to manipulate the system, and it's the obvious truth. A thief does not operate successfully in an environment where people don't want a thief to operate, where the environment is not friendly for a thief to operate. A thief will operate successfully because people around him too are given to whatever he's doing, and that's the challenge. So the mindset of Nigerians is a big issue. However, when you mentioned 1999, I remembered, I did a quick look at those that came up in 1999. Really, they were young, I agree with you. But once they got there, they took the opportunity and they got there. They were not living. They went on, okay, like the local government chairman of Mushi in 1999 was Ganiu Solomon. And he was a young person. From there, he moved in to he went to House of Rep. From House of Rep, he wanted to go for governorship. It didn't work out. He became, a senator. First time, and then second time, senator. You understand? What I'm trying to say in essence is, he started, as a chairman of the council. And when he did well, no doubt about that. And we said, was he going for second time? He said no. That LCDA came up, Tinubu brought in LCDA. He said he can't go in there, so he came in as of rep. Yes, we could say his father too was a big time politician. Baba Solomon was a big time politician in Lagos, and maybe it dropped off him. I agree with you. But I agree with the fact that he too was a young person when he started. What I think, why I brought out this example is, what I think we need people to do is, it won't just happen one day. Can the youth be politically minded and want to be involved in some of these things too? Can they want to join political parties? Can they want to be card-carrying members of political parties? Can they want to start mobilizing people? Coming out to have a vision. When you keep on doing this, you have a vision, keep on talking to your colleagues.
Do you think without changing the perception of people around who is referred to as a politician, the youth would actually be willing to be part of the process? An average person being referred to as a politician has so many negative tags. In Nigeria, for example, and of course they will say that, okay, he's a politician, and when you say he's a politician, you're obviously talking about the negatives of what a politician is. So can we successfully do that without actually reclaiming that word, politician?
One way or the other, all of us are involved with politics. Whether you are into front line politicking or you are just a person that goes to the polling unit to vote, all of us are politicians one way or the other. But I'm thinking that you cannot want to be there or be involved in governance in Nigeria if you don't want to be referred as a politician. You have to politics.
Exactly.
It's politicking. You have to be involved. But I'm thinking that they can galvanize. I saw it happen in 2023. The youth coming up in Ogun State. I saw brilliant young people. I was involved with some of these Labour Party people until what happened eventually came out. We're looking at how to bring about a change in the state. So I was really involved with them. And I saw brilliant indigenous, young people, very brilliant. They have made their marks in different fora. And I was like, are you saying you're in this Ogun State? There was this particular young girl I saw who has won awards across the board and was actually on the platform of labor movement, and they were in several movements in the state. I am thinking, but the moment the election went away, all of them fizzled out. Can we have them back? Can we have them mobilizing, talking? It might not be on the platform of the Labour Party, but can they come out and start using these brilliant? Look, Senior, I'm honest. We have young, brilliant people in Ogun State that we need to come together, galvanize, mobilize themselves, and look out for how to hijack power, if that is the word. Because if they feel that these people will just go away, you see, when they become vibrant, when they become very potent, the so-called big politicians will do their way. Because they still want brilliant minds. I don't know that you noticed it. They want brilliant minds. They want people that can really take them forward into the future. So this is why I said the youth need to come. I am not saying they can do it all alone. Okay. But when they show that they are there, the people that we call real-time politicians will see them. Look, I know Anafo, for instance, is a politician. And I'm sure he will want to see brilliance. And when you see a brilliant mind, you want to relate the brilliant mind, because they know that one way or the other, they will need them for the future. I do know that I'm communicating. Yeah. So the youth still need to come out, for them to be recognized, for them to be seen, for them to take over some of these things. However, without eventually translating into an immediate change, no. I'm not expecting a sudden change, because the system is such that the people themselves don't believe that anything good can come from politicking or governance. And I'm honest with you. Okay,
is that, are we going to say that there have not been consistent, there have not been effort? Now we don't have it as being consistent. A different election year, you know what happened when the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, was coming on board in 2015. There were different groups of mobilizers and young people, for that matter, and then they were pushing the different narratives just to push the president into power. And then you have in 2023 as well, another sort of such a movement. And of course, at different stages, you have at the end of the election, they go back, that's more like they are not consistent with this movement, this movement, yes, let me call it a movement. The consistency is what is the problem. Now, it's not that we've not been having people mobilizing, at every point in time that there will be an election, trying to encourage other people to be part of it. Is that how you see it?
I share your view on consistency. But why are they not consistent is the issue. They are not consistent because they don't have a plan of action.
A plan of action.
They need to have a plan of action, a program. Look, this is my focus. This is my vision. This is my target. Or these are our target. This is what we are going for. For instance, they could say, in the coming election, we want 3 or 4 of our members to come out as House of Assembly members. I don't know that I'm communicating. So when they have that, and okay, instead of 4, maybe they got 2. Okay, fine. They've gotten 2. They keep on moving and keep on working. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, these 2 coming elections, let us assume that it came suddenly. But if they've been there, they would have been able to say, okay, we want to present one of us to clinch a local government. I would have looked at, okay, can they clinch Abeokuta South? I'm looking at Abeokuta South because the smallest local government you could think of is Abeokuta South. You can't want to say you want to clinch Abeokuta North. It is huge. You have to go to so many, Shagauli, for instance, under Abeokuta North. Places like very close to Onyonda, all those villages that are there, all of them are under Abeokuta North. You understand? So it's big. You come to Akomoje, all those places, Abeokuta North, Mawuko. But when you look at Abeokuta South, it's a small area. You don't want to say, want to go and start claiming Abafumi Owode, which is a traditionally, They know themselves in Abeokuta, we want to go to, as far as, what do you call it? Ogtv Road, Ajibo, Obafe is under Abakume. You want to go to Norway, you want to go to Mokoloki, you want to go to those areas, you want to come as far as Kolobo here, it's huge. So for you to say you want to campaign as a youth, to want to capture such areas, you might have some problem. But you can say, okay, you want to capture Abeokuta South.
And all your effort.
Put all your effort there. And for God's sake, elitist community, elitist environment, you are looking at Adaton, down to Ijayi, down to maybe some element of Ibarra, and to Itoku. It's small area. You can concentrate and say, we want to capture this place for God's sake. These are the kind of thinking I wanted to come up with. But they cannot just, it can't just happen until they have a vision, they have a plan of action, they have a program, then consistency will follow. What we have now is that they are now being used as tools by confirmed politicians. They bring them together, mobilize them, fund them, and
when they are done with their assignment, so maybe funding is part of the challenge.
Funding is all the time, and that's why I'm saying that they can start concentrating in a small area. I know that Abeokuta South has 2 House of Assembly, state. Abeokuta South, am I right? I think they have 2. Now, you can say, okay, I want to target Abeokuta South. I'm only one of the assembly in Abeokuta South. It's not a big place, And if you want to play some of the show, look for somebody who is from that place, who is one of you, who is really brilliant, that comes from the community, and support him. Come out in a way that even the ruling party or whoever is there, by like, these are forces to be reckoned with, and they will say, okay, we will give you our platform. Everywhere I'm communicating, because politicians too believe in crowd. When you want a politician to look your way, show him the number of people that follows you. They know that they need crowd too. It's not just I am this, I am that. They need people who are your followers, and they will tell you. We know those youths are just social media, pugilists. They are there. We know those that will vote. And election in, election out, they are correct. I just told you, when I went to the polling unit today, the same set of faces I've been seeing were the ones that came out to vote. And that's how they can profile. When they see a new person, they know you are not one of them. The profile, look, I was discussing on one platform, and they said, the man said, I went out to vote with my wife, and my daughter went out to vote somewhere else. We are not approached with money. I said, because they know you. They do profiling. They know themselves. When they don't want to speak your Tuenshi, they know you are going to do Tuenshi to them when they approach with money. You start talking about a conscience, etc. They know those they want to approach. I don't know whether I'm communicating. Yeah. So they too need crowd, they need followership. So when they realize that you're a youth in the large base of followership, and you're actually involved, you're not a social media youth, you're actually involved, you're in the community, they run after you. They want to win you over. This is what the youth are not doing.
So what about women representation? It's part of, you work really with critical stakeholders when it comes to, we have developing partners now. We have the UN, the UNICEF and the likes. And what they keep pushing for is largely that if women are not having the right quotas in every elective positions, we might not actually see the difference along the line. Not really because they can do magic or perform magic, but they might be able to approach things differently. I don't know what you think if we have more women at this local government election dominated by, as usual, and you ask, I think why are women also not part of it?
Yeah, we have some women there. I think I've seen some parties that, some chairmen that made women their running mates. I don't know what we have done to offend you.
We want to mock you people. What you see, I think women are the problem of women, and I'm honest about that. When you look at politicians and people that are running around them, you see women. If you go to functions, I know you as a media person, you go to functions, when suddenly they are that function. If you have been to cultural center before, those that will do all these women, they are the ones that will do it. At the polling unit today, I want to tell you that there were more women that came out to vote than men. Yeah. Yes, men were calling the shots, but women were more. The polling agents of APC were women. The one at Unit 1, Unit 6 and Unit 7 were women, you understand?
But democracy did not say women should be supporting women. Democracy says men and women should support whoever.
You don't seem to understand it.
I get your point.
Democracy is the person that has the votes will have the way.
Okay.
You know, and the people that are not having the number will have the say, what do you call it? You understand? What I'm trying to say is, if you have more women out there that are involved in politics, and they are the ones that are coming out to vote, it's a matter of just saying that, vote for your Kurimo. We are voting for our women. Once they do that, I can assure you that you win. But you see, it is a cultural thing.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a cultural thing. Don't let us deny that fact. It's a cultural thing. In our culture, we tend to want to give it to men. And they will tell you that election, the party election programs comes up in the night. And I tell them, I see a lot of women too in the night. Yeah. I see them in the night. I don't want to tell you what they are doing in the night. But there are a lot of women in the night. So it has nothing to do with that. And who I see in the night are people that can vote, that can equally be involved in electioneering activities, that are not just involved. It's a cultural thing. People tend to like,
and they say the men, for instance, those that are married, if their husband allows them to.
I was about saying that there is a limit to what your husband wants to be involved in.
Exactly.
That's just the truth. And that's why it is playing out like that here. Even the family members will say, it's a thing for men. Why do you want to go and start doing that? It's only when you get to a certain stage in your life, when you are now pursuing career, that they feel, okay, we can let you go. You are no longer bearing children. You are no longer a housewife kind of a thing. A lot of children are maybe in the university. That's when it's okay, go and pursue the career. But at the level when you are still trying to make ends meet, struggling, it's a man thing. It's only your husband that they expect to be at those places. And that's why they compensate you. Because come and be deputy is a compensation. Come and be social secretary of the party is compensation. Come and be youth leader is compensation.
Which is also participation. Because you always said that the one woman.
I agree with you. It's not until they appear the win elections that they are passing. But they want to win elections.
They want to be Kamala Harris.
I think the point I'm trying to make, so that we don't make it, when you are at the table, there are ways that affect the kind of decisions you make, that affect the lives. You're just talking about almost half of the population of the people of Ogun State, and you represent most of the policies would mostly representing how you see the world. So why they call for women participation, women involvement, is not because you just want to fill a gap just for the sake of it, but because it has to do with the lives of people. How you see the world is different from how I see it. And if the population, if you are representing everybody, then you see it in your likeness. You make policies in your likeness most of the time. So allow others to also be part of it. So I'm not saying that women must be there, but of course, I said for development to take place and for democracy to be successful and fully successful, there must be a way we balance all those things so that we can have the kind of development we really want in the society.
I might not use the word must also, but women needs to be there because we have the female power and the male power in everything that we do, and that's the truth. In any of our institutions, the male power is there, the female power is there, and we need the two for us to really develop socially, and even politically. And I agree with you that women need to be there. What I'm only saying is that we're not having a lot of women out there. It's because of a cultural issue. It's a cultural issue in part of the world. It's not because what do you call it? Women are not capable, they are not fit, or they can't perform when they get there. I've seen better administrators as women. I've seen them. women, good administrators, in places, and I agree with that as well. But I'm looking forward to see a woman governor. It was almost happening in Taraba.
In Taraba.
It didn't eventually happen. I'm looking forward to that. That we have women coming up to say they want to do this or play that role, but it's a cultural thing. I doubt if the system is really against women, but it's a cultural thing.
Well, Similat is the chairman of conflict and peace studies, whatever group in Ogun State.
She's our chairman.
And that's a society that has a lot of men. And so if she's a chairman of that party, of that society, I don't know what else.
What else is It's not about me. It's about our political space.
Yeah, our reporters are running back home, and that's why we've not been able to actually bring them here anymore. But we're still hoping that we're able to get them, and we also like to entertain some calls. If you have any, call us. But in the meantime, we still have like 1 or 2 interviews to play for you, as far as party leaders, community leaders that we saw in the field this morning. But let's take a beat. Let's quickly run to Ondo. Have you been monitoring things in Ondo State?
Of course.
So what's happening in Ondo?
As at this morning, I know that election started off well. INEC came out and, there was this court decision, appeal court, regarding Labour Party. And eventually, INEC said, recognizing this person and went on the election. It's been like that. I equally heard in the news that 3 people stepped down for Abeokuta and they want to join him. The election is going on well in Ondo. PDP is really giving the APC a run for their money. They are really on ground. They are doing all that they could do. What do you call it? These governors. Oyo State governor was in Ondo. Adeleke was in Ondo to campaign. And if going by the crowd at campaign rallies is what you want to look at, you just give it to PDP that they won that election. But I want to be honest. I don't see how Abeokuta would want to win that election, and I'm being honest. I don't see how he will not win that election as Abeokuta, because of the fact that he's unable to mobilize the grassroots in Ondo State. I was in Ondo State. We had a project there, and I know that quite a number of the structure of what do you call it? The late Oguni, Arakunri, eventually was able to win them over, and you could see the way all those that came out to compete with him during the primaries were silenced. Jimo Ibrahim from that state, eventually they were all made to let's work for this person. So we have a common front as far as APC is concerned in Ondo, and I see that working well for them, in the election. When you have a party that is strong, that is formidable, that has firm grip of the grassroots, to uproot them in the elections, it does not come so easy. So I see him honestly coming out to win this election. How the margin is what I'm unable to say, but I see him coming to have an edge over PDP.
Okay, we just quickly dashed to Ondo State, and of course that's Abeokuta, casting his vote, and we of course in our news tonight we also bring you a report of how things have actually gone in Ondo State governorship election. Back to Ogun State. Yes, we told you that you could call us. The numbers are on your screen. Let's hear you. Let's get your opinions on what has happened today in Ogun State, especially in your area where you live and where you actually voted. If you actually went out to vote, you could call us and tell us how it actually went today. But for now, as the calls, as we're waiting for the calls to come in, let's quickly run back to the field and give you this interview we have with the Sports Development Commissioner in Ogun State, Wasiu Isiaka. We caught up with him in Imeko from local government area of the state, and this is what he told us.
Be peaceful, of course, as I'm sure you've been around the
So now, what will you say concerning the declaration of Ogtv? Are you impressed with what you're saying?
Well, honestly, I'm impressed because from the process of releasing of the notification and conducting the election, the appointment of adult staff and
ṣókí ní ìwà àwọn Yorùbá báwo lè ṣe rí ètò
adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ pé ń lọ ní sí jàgídàgàn gbogbo ẹ̀ lọ ní àwọn àtòrí pé kí ni àwọn olùdìbò ti mọ ìgbà tó fẹ́ ṣe wọn bí tó ń lọ ẹ mọ̀ pé ní àwọn oníwà àwọn ẹ̀ wá sọ pé má ṣe ní sẹ́yìn ọmọ mi tó ń lọ lọ́dọ̀ wa ń bì gbogbo ẹ̀ lámọ́ ẹni máa rí àwọn nǹkan kéékèèké kan àríwú jẹ́jẹ́ ìgbésẹ̀ nǹkan mọ̀ APC ní ló wà ní local government wa ní ọdún ẹ̀rọ.
That was Honorable Wasim Isiaka, Commissioner for Sports Development in Ogun State. You want to imagine that on his mind is the National Sports Festival, and he won't have time for for politics. But then the Commissioner for Sports Development is also a grassroots politician, and so decided to go to Imekwafon to vote and to also give support to the candidate of his party there.
Party loyalty.
Party loyalty.
You could see them, all of them going back to to actually support the candidate.
We still have one more interview before we actually drop the anchor on this part of our election coverage. Don't forget that we're going to be running things up to midnight and possibly till tomorrow morning when the results have been announced by Ogtv. We don't have the authority to announce the results. Ogtv will start announcing the results, and we'll bring in how the announcement is going from the headquarters of Ogtv here in Abeokuta. Let's quickly look at administration of election in Nigeria, not only by what Ogtv has done, so far in Ogun State today, but generally even from an INEC and across history of Nigeria. So far, so what for you?
No, thank you. People need to, when we talk of election administration, we need to let them know what we're talking about. We're basically looking at the body that is in charge of election activities in Nigeria. It is expected to be independent. And that's why any time any government comes in, they want to come up to tell you that they have a body from FEDECO to INEC that we have today. We have NEC, National Electoral Commission. We have INEC now. It's been one name or the other. All wanting to suggest that there is a body that should, take care of that, not government. And that's the thing. So that's what we're looking at. And it has to do with having a voters register, because you cannot have election without having a voters register. So far, so good in Nigeria. There has been improvement on this. There have been several voters register that we've had. But in recent time, we've had it, being consistent. What we now do is updating. I think that's one kudos to INEC, the present body. They've been able to have a standardized, voters register. Unlike in the past that a new election comes in, when all of us to go and start registering again. No. Now we have a standardized voters register. To me, that's a good one. We just add into it. For instance, I used to vote in Lagos, and suddenly I moved to Abeokuta. I've been in Abeokuta for over 20 years now, and I really wanted to vote. So what I needed to do was just to approach INEC, and they moved my polling unit from Lagos. I did it to Ogun State and chose where I want to be. This was not the case before. This was that whenever it happens like that, you have to come and do a new registration, but that is not the case. So if you ask me on that element of it, we've had a good, voters register. And the states equally are leveraging on that. For instance, the election we had today and ditto for other states, all of them had to write to INEC to give them the register for their particular state. And I noticed that that's the register that we use during the national elections that we are using for this one. So when it comes to the issue of voters register, I think we've had it well. Now, moving from there to election itself, because as an examination body, there is what you call registration of candidates. Then there is the real, conduct of exams. Now, the conduct of election is based on register, where you now determine, and that's a huge one. You have to determine how many people you want to have at a polling unit. For instance, how many polling units are you going to have in a ward? And it's a function of how many voters do you have in that ward. That now comes to say, okay, we're having so number of people in this unit, in this ward, so these are the units you're going to have. And they've done that across Nigeria, which is a good one. Now, for election itself, it now comes to one thing election must have integrity. If an election does not have integrity, where vote casted is not the vote that is announced, then that election has integrity. Then it's going to affect democracy of that particular community. And I think so far so good. INEC has equally done a lot of good work in that regard. We're just talking about smart card reader. We move from there to beavers now. Now, I've said it, in the past we were experiencing people being shot, being killed for stealing ballot boxes. But now we don't have that happening again. We don't have people saying, leave the ballot box, no problem, nobody is going to steal it. Because you know that whatever vote that is casted is already captured. So you can't just say you want to really go into that. So that has really equally improved. Now we see have people saying people are buying votes. They are buying vote because vote has become of value. If not, you won't buy votes.
Okay, I think that's quite a very big interview that we're going to actually do. Administration for election, and I know Eustace is quite an expert in this regard. Probably we'll have to look at that in the days ahead. We'll be allowing you go, Eustace, but we'd like to, because our reporters are back from the field, and we'd like to also feel their pulse, how it all went. We have like less than 30 minutes to actually close this. But before you go, just wrap things up. For you, the election of today in Ogun State, how has it taken us democratically, and of course in terms of governance in Ogun State?
Well, to me, thank God that we're having this election in Ogun State to give us a new set of local government administrators. It's a good one. The election went fairly well, apart from the early morning snag, the lateness that we have, which I have said, Ogtv to come out and let us know what eventually was responsible for that, because of the future. If you ask me, it's a fair one, and we've seen the ruling party still dominating because of the fact that they have the resources and the ability. We saw their people coming out strongly in all the areas, nooks and crannies of the state. I see that happening. If you ask me of my impression of the entire exercise, I would say, given the situation we find ourselves in Nigeria, the status of Nigeria regarding democracy and elections is a way forward. I am expecting that in future we get it better. I know a lot of things will still come out to play, but unlike in the past when you see local government election, violence coming up. We didn't see that.
Largely, we didn't see that.
We didn't see that, and I'm expecting that coalition will start. And we have not heard any situation where they said the ballot boxes have been stolen, and I don't expect that will actually happen. But we need to work more on our people wanting to come out to vote. Ask me, and I'll tell you that the turnout is as usual poor. It's as usual poor.
All right, we'll start with Lawal. He's a public affairs analyst, and of course, a member of the civil society in Nigeria, an election observer. We must thank you so much for coming on this special interview, Stars, and of course, it's not going to be out of place if you bring you back in the days ahead. We are likely to also review this election and review the Ondo election too. and of course talk more about election administration in Nigeria. Thank you so much for coming. Our reporters are back, and shortly Emmanuel Dasaolu, who has been covering Abeokuta North and South, will be joining us, and of course we also have Ayo Olumi, who covered Imekwafo local government. They'll be coming in shortly. Stay with us.
Sahara, we rise, the land of the free, we know the tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, we take like battle, we swear God, we stand up in the back, we make solutions, we make myself, yeah. There's a message in me, we have more than just a mission. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Okay, it's the special studio of Ogtv on the Ogun State Local Government Election 2024. The place to be. No other station could have done it better than Ogtv as far as this coverage is concerned. I'm with Sima Dabaru in the studio, and we have been in the last 2.5 hours doing this. Of course, to the show they can, the Muzo Jeremy were here in the morning, and they did their bit, and it's for us now to continue wrapping things up. Our reporters are coming in. We have in the studio already Emmanuel Dasaolu, who covered Abeokuta North and South. Emmanuel, how are you?
You look so stressed. What's
So stressed
wrong? How is the election?
It can have its effect. I think maybe the sun also came out to vote today.
The sun?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually an experience for those of us who are reporters out there trying to cover what's happening here and there. Starting the day, we had to first go to the headquarters of the local government secretariat in Abeokuta South, in Abeokuta North, to actually see what's actually happening there. When we got to Abeokuta South, we met the OCSEC officials, we met some ad hoc staff as well in their numbers, bosses as well, trying to get their materials and also get into buses and get to their destinations as fast as they can do it. But this was around 8-9 a.m. in the morning, and many voters, because we also had to go through some polling unit as well, and many of the voters were waiting to actually cast their vote and do their civic responsibilities. So some of them got there, couldn't find anybody, tarried a little bit, and then some of them had to go back again. I think at some point, some of the party stalwarts had to go back and start appealing to people to return back to the polling unit as well. So by and large, we got to Abeokuta South. We saw lots of buses being dispatched to different polling units. The same thing applied for Abeokuta North local government as well. But after all of that has been done, we also had to move around to actually ensure that this umpires, these ad hoc staffs, these officials get to their polling unit, and also we'll get to see votes being cast by the electorate as well. But all in all, I think we had a peaceful Abeokuta.
Okay,
in terms of the conduct of the polls. People, regardless of the sun, look at this woman trying to actually use her hand to cover her face, because many of them had to stand in the sun, before they could cast their votes. It's not even the fault of the electoral umpire or the ad hoc staff, because that's the space that they have to manage.
Part of what we've recorded was the fact that voting started very late in most of the polling units.
Yeah.
Were you given certain explanation along the line? The adults, the INEC, what's called OCHEC officials, were able to say one or two things about that.
I don't know if they were in any position to give us explanations as to why, because one, I approached one of the the officials, trying to get information out of him, and why are we still at the local government at past 9 a.m. in the morning when we knew that people are ready. In fact, it was a matter of where are they? Are they still coming? So basically, when I approached him and I asked him that what's going on, how long are we supposed to be here? Because as at then I was still seeing a number of buses in the compound. So he just said like he's overwhelmed.
Okay.
With the material sorting, trying to ensure that calling of names of people into the buses, each buses and all of that. So you can't really get an explanation as to why we had that much delay. But what's important is that they got the job done.
Was there any extension sort of in the local government you covered for the voters?
I think for the voters, rather than end the polls at 2 p.m. some were given the opportunity to, as long as you're on the queue, they are given the opportunity to actually vote beyond that time of the day. And of course, this was happening in units. So basically, you know the number of people that are actually coming out to come and vote, cast their vote at that period. So for them, it's not so cumbersome for us to, because the process was actually smooth. Get there, get accredited, cast your vote, and leave. Or you stand behind and wait till the point that they're going to actually collate all the votes together and all of that. So I'm not sure that we really needed to actually go beyond 2 p.m. In cases where you have to go beyond 2 p.m., the margin of the time is not so much. So between 2 p.m. and 2:30, 3 p.m., because by 3 p.m. already we're already seeing them sorting out the vote and counting the votes as well.
I think what this will imply in the long run is that we're likely to see the announcement of the result of the election, go late into the night and possibly to tomorrow morning and all that. Yeah. Possibly by tomorrow morning, everything will be organized, because I mean, in the case of late arrival of materials, I think it's regular, it's similar in almost. But again, the point is that the job was done in the long run. Yeah, we had delays and all that, but the job was done. And I think there are lessons for OCHEC in this.
Well, basically, in as much as I would say there are lessons for OCHEC, I think there is also the part where we also applaud the security operatives, the security apparatus that we have in Ogun State. The mere fact that the people understand that we have men on ground, the men of the armed forces, the police, the civil defense, trace officials on the roads as well, they knew that we had adequate security, so there was no room for anybody to misbehave in such manner as which you can actually start doing some unreasonable things. So people were kept in check. People came in to vote. If you are done voting, stay behind probably find a shed somewhere and stay until maybe the voting process is done. Then when you now got to that period when you needed to count the vote, you saw people coming out again to actually see the ad hoc staff start the counting. In fact, many of them wanted to be a part of this counting. They wanted to see it. So the police officials ensured that there was enough space between the Ogtv staffs and of course the people who wanted to actually vote. So it's a process that you will actually enjoy if you are calm enough to wait the time that it requires for us to cast our votes. For some people who are also having to get food to eat, get water to drink as well, because the sun was hot.
Did you see the elites actually come out from interactions? Because I don't know. I think that's I've learned some lessons today about nature of different elections. I didn't see lots of elites, come out. Yeah, I saw some people from grassroots, women and all that, but the elites, and
Ustaz also talked about the younger generation.
Yeah.
He talked about the fact that the young ones that participated, that were so loud in the general elections of 2023, were not really mobilized, or they were not really on the field to cast.
I think the way I saw this election is people who are closer to candidates. People who are closer to the grassroots, the locals, the market women, those who actually they feel connected to the local government.
To local government.
So those are the people who are actually more willing to come forward to cast their votes. Maybe for the reason that they feel that this is somebody that we can go to when we are in need, when we need some things to be done in our community and all. So we have councillorship candidates, we have chairman candidates as well who are part of the election. These are the people who are closest to the grassroots in any state in the federation. So basically, I'm not so sure we had so much of the elite come out to vote. Maybe somewhere, but if you look at the factors around this election as well, how many of the elites are willing to actually stand on the sun and queue for that long, or wait,
or have the temperament, exactly,
or have the temperament to actually see it out and all of that. So I think we saw more
to the electorate that the voters actually came out to vote.
Exactly. I think we should appreciate them, because the sun was scorching. Actually, it was scorching, and you see them carrying bags of water, sharing amongst each other. In fact, they were calling themselves by their native name. So you know that these are people who actually are community people, local people, market women and all of that. So these are the people who feel they are closer to the local government authorities, and they see reasons to actually come out and vote. For many of the elite, I think maybe it's logical enough, because you look at how they work. Maybe they are close to the state government, maybe they are close to the federal government. So some or many might not feel so attached to going out to vote for them.
Generally speaking, for you, Emmanuel, before we allow you to go file your report, your first time of covering local government election, and you actually covered two sensitive local government areas, Abeokuta South, Abeokuta North. Share experience in 1 minute. Ayo Olumi is standing by.
I think for those of us who have more palpable fears that we are going into the local scene, so maybe things could go out of hand. But I didn't see any of that today. So on one part,
congratulations.
I also like the fact that people, I saw people rallying around their candidates. So basically, it feels like they are connected. I saw the fact that, okay, we know this person. Anything that happens in this community, in this local government, we know who to approach. So it's lessons for me to actually understand that we have people who are actually close. When they say the local government, it's the closest to the grassroots. This is the point where you actually get to understand how close to the grassroots the local government is especially how important it is to the people.
All right, we must thank you so much, Emmanuel Odasaolu, of our sports desk. But of course, this is not sports. This is election. But I think it also says something about the versatility of our reporters in Ogtv. Many of our reporters are still on the road, but then Ayolumi is here from Imeko. He just came back, and I think if you also, by the time you bring Ayo on, you will see that the sun also dealt a big blow on him. So we'll be taking this break and allow Emmanuel go. Ayolumi will be joining us shortly. Stay with us.
Savannah to the Sahara, we rise and land up be free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like boundary, we swear we're gonna, we stand up in the back, we got solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. There's a message in we are more than just a nation. We are Nigeria. We are Nigeria. Strength and unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria. Together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
All right, we thank you so much for still staying glued to Ogtv's coverage of the 2024 local government election in the state. We have Ayolumi, who covered 2 local governments, Yewa North and Imekwafo local government. Ayo, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very fine. Good to be back.
Yeah, good to be back home safely. We thank God for that. Now, so tell your experience. I mean, we've actually spoken about late arrival of materials. What was the experience for you in those local government areas?
Well, in Yewa North local government, okay, firstly let me talk about Imekwafo local government. Well, the materials were arrived late, but about an hour and a half, 1 hour and a half and all that. But election proper proceeded about 10:30, 11. But it was surprising that people waited.
Exactly.
People actually waited to exercise the franchise.
Because just like Emmanuel said, probably it was because people, those who came out, are grassroots people, and because of their relationship, mostly with the chairman candidates, chairmanship candidates, and of course the councilorship candidates. Was it also like that for?
Yes, that was also witnessed too for me, because I think this familiarity, and you can tell that local governments are the closest to the people, and that was evident in what was seen on the field today. People rallied around their candidates, waited for the election materials to arrive, and then before proceeding
what about the security?
Well, in Imekwafo local government, the security was okay. There was little vehicular movement compared to that of Yewa North. Yewa North was close to a standstill, no much activities, but you can see security personnel on ground doing their duties.
So there was no violation, because OXEC actually said restriction of movement will be between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Here in Abeokuta, we saw a lot of violation. People came out and they had to be stopped by security, agencies.
Well, there was no violation except maybe people that want to exercise the franchise, the distance, the proximity from where they live, and they would need to go out. But then it was okay. People complied. And everything went.
Yeah, I was actually also going to ask about because we spoke about the enthusiasm of people, in this election, and just like I've also alluded to the fact that because these people are close to the candidates and all of that. Did you also, in your interactions with them, notice that they actually placed their destinies in the hands of those who are going to govern them next? Because those who are going to be elected today are the ones that will run these local council areas for the next 3 years.
Well, it was seen that the electorate were passionate about their choices, and I think that is because they know what is at stake, and well, they want to give their mandate to someone who they think can deliver, and that was seen today. That was seen in how they operate. I mean, the election process, and they were very passionate about.
We're also trying to talk about the demography of those that actually came out to vote, the young, the old, male, females. Were you able to capture, the kind of
definitely people came out, and the young, especially the aged. I was surprised the level of turnout by those the aged. I was impressed. They really turned out, and despite the sun, scorching sun, they waited for the materials, they waited to the accreditation, the voting process, and all that. I was surprised.
How much of mobilization did you see? Because we saw in your interview, the interview you sent home, the interview of the Commissioner for Sports Development, Wasu Isiaka. Beyond him, how much of mobilization did you actually get from community and political leaders?
Well, I was able to talk with, to interact with the member of reps representing Imekwafon and Iwanov Federal Constituency, Honorable Bwega Isiaka. I was able to talk with the Minister of State for Health.
Okay, yeah, we got that too.
As well. The former Speaker of State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Suraj Adekunbi, and a lot of others. It shows they actually came home to exercise their franchise.
Okay, tell us about your experience too. Certainly your first time of covering local government election.
Well, it's an experience. Aside the sun,
you had a face cap?
Exactly. I went prepared. Yeah. I knew how it was going to be, so I went prepared. But then, by and large, it was a very pleasant experience. Everything went smoothly, free and fair, I would say.
Okay, once thank you so much, Ayo Tomori Oluwumi, for joining us. Ayo Tomori Oluwumi covered Yewa North and Imekwafon local government. We also take this break with another interview. This was done in Ipokia, and it was the interview of Honorable Abiodun Akinlade. He also spoke to us. We'll give the interview to you. Ayo will go, and then Sibat and I will be back to wrap things up.
Remember representing the South African Constituency House of Reps. This is my car, from the foot. What do you say about the Yeah, the election is supposed to start from around 7:30 to 12, but the electoral materials, they did even with that, you can see the turnout of that tells you that even with the delay in the arrival of the voting materials, we still voted to also get civil. It tells you that Nigerians know even that by exercising their voting rights, they have the right to see their chairman and councillors at the different So this government has been very, very close to people. That's why we call it government at the grassroots. The autonomy given to this government, maybe the elected chairman and the councillors to be, but to let their people enjoy the freedom of democracy. They now have the opportunity of having their money direct from the federation account. So now bring the development back to the grassroots. If you know, if you look at what happened in the past years, when the development autonomous, where they have their money directly, most of the things that people are now expecting state government to do will now be done by the local government. We're talking about the road, the market, a lot of other things that are done. So I believe the autonomy to government is a little bit development chairman, but very, 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 very well.
Okay, today Ogtv gave the liberty to use either NIN or voter's card if you don't have your driver's license, if you don't have a voter's card. From the National Assembly, do you think this kind of thing can be accepted and be used throughout the world in Nigeria?
The most important thing is not to have a free and fair election, and not to deprive anybody from voting and voting rights. All these things are national identity, and people can verify with. I can tell you one thing with the system, the system used to do, and the way they have promoted their election, if you apart from the delay in the arrival of the voting materials and everything at the so peaceful, see the security agents around, they are doing their job without any stress, because even the populace, they are now aware of their civic rights. Let's say I can just tell our people that we just continue to be peaceful and expect the best from this government. By the time we have a government at the level.
Okay, that was Honorable Abeokuta. That was actually, Wode, not in Ipokia. Of course, Akinlade is an APC stalwart. He also spoke about the election, and he also commented about the possibility of INEC adopting what Ogtv adopted. Okay, before we go, Senior, I think we need to also show our viewer the video of a thug arrested, during the election. Yes, we've not recorded any violence as far as reports that we got from this election are concerned, but this was recorded. A thug was arrested somewhere. I think we can see the video of the arrest, and it's condemnable, when people like this. See what was arrested as what was actually found on him.
It's really critical for us to talk about this kind of a thing, especially because, like Ustaz said in his analysis, we've moved beyond this particular stage where you have what exactly will he be doing along the line in an election where you have everybody, they know themselves. People can easily spot you that you're not one of them, and we have to continue to give kudos to the security agencies. They've really done well to capture a thing like this, and of course ensure that the people who are going to vote at their polling unit go there without being obstructed or stopped by people like this.
And I think this will serve as a deterrent to those who have the motivation to do this in the next election.
Exactly.
Okay, that's how it's going to be. But don't forget that our election coverage hasn't ended yet. We are going to, in fact, as we speak, we have our team at Ogtv headquarters ready to start bringing the announcement of results to you. So keep watching Ogtv between now and midnight, and possibly till tomorrow morning. You're going to see the announcement of results of this election from 20 local government areas in the state. Senior, time to go.
Time to go. Thank you for being a part of it. It's a local government election. Keep being part of the process so that we can get the desired result.
Bye for now.